Ooh. Oh, we're recording now. Okay.
Yeah, we're recording now. We figured we'd jump in right away.
We've opened the doors. We want to make sure we don't miss it being distracted with everything else. I'm not sure
Right.
I like my hair today. I'm gonna...
Oh, you look marvelous.
No, my hair is fine, but the weird green screen is doing something weird behind me, grabbing my hair. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Glad to see you sliding into our room here.
How is the chat going to work today, Janice? Is it everybody chats with everybody or just with us?
Not in a big webinar like this.
All right, cool. So they can chat with us. So the chat's turned on. You can tell us
You can
uh,
tell us stuff right.
where you're listening in from.
We will do our best to watch the chat, but we'll be teaching, so it may take a while to get to anything.
Yeah, Freddie says good morning. Bobby is
Good
in Tucson.
morning.
Where are you all listening in from? I love it when people from oh, Lori and Alan are in the room.
Hey, Lori and
Freddie's
Ellen.
Freddie's from Tempe, Al from Phoenix, Chelsea is from Chandler, Kathleen from Mesa.
We know some of these names from people personally, but others we just know that
Right?
you from our chat rooms and stuff. Hello, everyone.
Exactly. Oh, we got Deborah from South Florida. Well, how about them there apples?
Hello, hello. Oh my gosh, the names are coming faster than I can read them. But hello,
Right.
everyone. Excited to see you. Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
Thank
Greg, I
you for
can't
being.
believe it's been a year since we've done this.
I know, right? And it's been 5 years since we did it in person.
Yeah.
Wow.
Change my camera a little bit. Here
There
we
you
go.
go. All right.
Hello.
Are we going to take questions in the Q&A today, Janice?
No, we are going to do questions in our classes. If we try to
Okay.
do questions in the Q&A today, we would never get out of here.
Right.
Although we do have, and we'll talk about this later, we do have a phone line where you can place orders, and my daughter-in-law Hannah is helping us.
Hannah's a rock star.
She's a doll, and she'll be answering questions about orders and stuff as best she can.
Yes, Vanessa, chat for only host and panelists. That is correct.
This is too big of an event to try and do a chat room.
Yeah.
All right.
CJ, hello, CJ. Good morning. Good morning, Marnell and Eddie. Martha from Scottsdale, hello.
Are we ready to start? We can just chat while we're doing it because it is 9:03.
It is 9:03.
All right.
All right.
Ready?
3, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the 2023 launch party of the Urban Farm Fruit Tree Program. My name is Greg Peterson, and I am here with Janice. Hello, Janice.
Hello, Greg. I'm Janice Norton. I am the general manager of the Urban Farm Fruit Tree Program. I am located in Peoria, and I'm coming to you from my little orchard, 2-piece in a pod. That's my trees behind me.
Nice. One for those people that are lucky enough to show up live, we have gifts that we're giving away, prizes we're giving away. So
That's always fun.
yeah, exactly. Our program. Do we have a slide for how our program works?
Yes, we do.
There it is. Thank you for that, Miss Janice. How our fruit tree program works. So primarily, this fruit tree program is for the low desert. A lot of the things that we'll be covering are pertinent to everywhere. But mostly what we do is we talk about planting and growing fruit trees in the low desert. So how our program works, it starts with learning. And the learning part started 24 years ago when I discovered that we could go into most nurseries in every big box store and they would sell you a fruit tree that would never make fruit. And in many cases, they knew it, which I just call bogus, man. That is just absolutely bogus as far as I'm concerned. I have been growing fruit trees in Phoenix, Arizona since 1975. So what's that, like 46, 47 years, something like that. And in earnest, I've been growing fruit trees since 1989 when I bought the urban farm. And over the years, I planted out dozens of different varieties, watched them grow, watched them thrive or not thrive, watched them produce fruit or not produce fruit, and have boiled it down to a really nice list of fruit trees that work really well in the desert. And we tell you in our programs, we tell you how to choose the right trees for your area, how to make sure that you put them in the right place. In fact, this coming Tuesday, we have a class that I've been giving for several years called How to Kill Your Fruit Trees. And it's how not to kill your fruit trees. But what we talk about is the things that people do that, pretty much do away with our fruit trees right from the get-go.
It's like that thing where you try something new and it's really helpful to know what other people have tried that messed them up.
Yeah.
So this is your cheat sheet to avoid some of the most simple or the most common ways to mess up. Let's just take those off the list for you so you can skip those lessons.
Exactly. So we run our education program from September, usually the second Saturday of September, through the end of October, where we give weekly classes. All of them are going to be recorded in our Root Camp program, which we're going to talk about extensively today. And we cover things like tree placement, making sure that you have the soil correct. What is the 6-6 basin? How to deep water and fertilize your trees. We have all of these different things that we've covered and learned over the years about.
One of the biggest ones we do is what to know before you even choose a tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that class was given last Tuesday evening. We recorded it and it's in our Root Camp. Why don't you tell us about our Root Camp, Janice?
Okay. Our Root Camp is 5 different sections of a brand new master class we put together. Now, Greg has been teaching in person for years, and we started doing some online and really got hot and heavy online in 2020. We've been gathering all those lessons together and putting them together in a structured order. Tell you how the program works, what you need to know before you buy your fruit tree. The next section is bringing home and planting your trees. Then we get a section on how to take care of your trees after you've planted them. And we throw in some extra beautiful videos that we have. And we've been putting lessons into each one of these sections on the variety of topics that cover that. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a major labor of love over the last couple of months to put this all together and get it working. Maybe a couple of bugs to still work out, but it's exciting and it's included in our free education program.
Yeah. And did we mention it's free?
It's free. You can go to fruittrees.org and find the button there on that page to enlist in Root Camp.
And the reason we do that, so we're obviously selling fruit trees, and we've been selling fruit trees now for 24 years. That's really the business we're in, and that's what helps pay for the free education. But we're really dedicated to making sure that you are successful when you actually plant fruit trees, because why bother if you're not going to be successful?
Yeah.
So that's how committed we are to your fruit trees.
And that's all part of the learn part of our fruit tree program.
Yeah.
And once you're done with the learning, or once you have gotten to a point where you're a little bit more comfortable with the learning, because we want you to keep doing that part, you can place a pre-order with us. You can pre-order either citrus or deciduous trees. You can go to fruittrees.org and find the link there, or you can go to store.urbanfarm.org. We do have catalogs available on the fruittrees.org page that you can download. You can find out about the different varieties. The citrus trees, we are already running low on varieties. So if you are interested in that, you want to place your order soon, reserve your tree. You'll be picking those up later this month in September. If you are looking for deciduous trees, those come in January and you can place your order. You can combine it into one order. If you can split it, then that saves me a step. I don't have to split it for you. But, and we also have mesquite trees.
Oh,
this
yes.
September for pickup. So if you're looking for a velvet mesquite or a screw bean mesquite, you can order those there too. And
And
that's
those
part of our pre-order process.
those make an edible bean that you can actually, well, do many things with. Often what people do is they make flour out of the mesquite pods, essentially. And let's talk briefly. I know we got another tab down the road here about about citrus trees. Uh, there's there's been a massive shortage of citrus trees in the state over the past decade, and it has everything to do with citrus greening disease. We have one citrus grower in the state that sells commercially, and they have a very limited supply of trees. So we do our best to harvest what we can from them every year. That's what we have available in our shopping cart right now. And they'll be available until we sell out, but fruit tree pickup starts the
It'll be
22nd.
the last two Thursday, Friday, Saturdays of the month for 2023. And for well, step 3 is you pick these up. For the citrus trees, you'll pick them up in September and you can plant them in October, November. You don't have to plant them right away. You've got some time on that. Just take care of them until you're ready to plant them. And for the deciduous trees, you'll pick them up in January. You want to make sure you are ready for your bare root trees, and we'll teach you how, because you want to get those bare root trees planted the same day you pick them up.
Yes. Yeah,
And
exactly.
step 3 is pick up and plant.
Yeah. As a side note, we are looking for people to help us on the fruit tree lot during our citrus season coming up in a couple of weeks. So if you're interested in doing that, shoot me an email at greg@urbanfarm.org and we'll get you that information on how to come and play with us. It is paid or trade, you choose. So it's a paid gig.
And then step 4, continue learning. One of the great things about our program is we are still putting stuff out. We have monthly tree chats with information about how to fertilize or water or care for your tree in that month. And then we have a lesson of some sort. This year, we've been trying to focus on information on different varieties. And next year, I'm not sure what I'll cover, but we'll throw some more trees in there and some more topics. And then we take questions and answers in our tree chats.
Yeah.
Those are live events on the second Tuesday of the month, most months of the year. And we're available. We like to help. We actually have a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah,
Learning.
that's like our gig. You know, you got fruit tree questions, email me at fruittreesplural@urbanfarm.org. That's what I'm here for.
All right. So that's how the fruit tree work program works. And we do invite you to enlist in root camp.
All right. Now, go ahead, Janice.
Oh, we have the video, the first video.
Yeah, as a precursor to this first video, my absolute favorite peach to grow is the desert gold peach. And we have a short video, I think it's about 1.5 minutes, on desert gold peach trees. One of the things that I love here at the Urban Farm, and one of the things that I love to do, is plant fruit trees. The reason being is you plant fruit trees once and you get fruit for dozens or hundreds of years. I have 2 citrus trees in the backyard that were planted in the 1920s. That's 100 years ago, and I get fruit off of them every year. This happens to be my favorite tree. It's a peach tree. It's called the Desert Gold Peach. It is an amazing, juicy peach, hugely prolific. It will make so many peaches, you won't know what to do with them all, I promise. They absolutely will make your toes tingle and probably splash down the front of you. Enjoy. Oh, oh. You got to get yourself one of these. Oh my God. That's heaven. Well, there you go.
All right. Are we still
Oh,
sharing? No, I'm not sharing. I wanted to make
no.
sure.
Perfect. Yeah, that desert cold peach is an amazing peach tree. It's our hottest selling peach in the low desert. It does really well. It thrives and it makes an absolute abundance of peaches. So
Which make absolutely delicious snacks, absolutely delicious uh, jams, and just so much. It's delicious.
yeah, yeah,
So
exactly.
here is the next thing we like to share. We have some giveaways. Now, in order to register for the giveaways, you need to go to urbanfarm.org/2023 kickoff. And then just stay tuned. I'll call out the names of the winners as we do our drawings. So go ahead, throw your name in the hat and see what we have. We've got consults. We've got, let me go look at my list. We've got some consults with Greg. We've got some fruit trees where you get to pick your own fruit tree for free. Of course, Greg's favorite dwarf black mulberry. We have those. We've got some planting starter kits to help with the trees that you're choosing. And we've got a brand new book. Greg, do you want to talk about that book real quick? We got a few copies of the book from Susan Poisner.
Oh, yeah. You know what? You have the books. I just
I
know
do.
that Susan Poisner has written them. She's a rock star. She has a radio show and podcast on urban orcharding. She's out of Toronto. You're going to hear from her in just a bit on fruit tree grafting. What is her book called? It's
Oops.
kind of, if you unshare your screen, maybe we'll be able to see it better.
Grow fruit trees fast. I should have taken a
Yeah,
picture.
yeah,
Oh, you're right. I should stop sharing. Here we go.
there we go.
Grow Fruit Trees Fast by Susan Poisner, a beginner's
Great.
guide to healthy harvest in record time. I hope that showed the right direction and not backwards.
It did.
Oh, good.
It did. So we had somebody asking to help with the fruit tree program.
We'll take care of that later.
Yep, I'm putting that in the chat right now. Also, Terry Barnum wants to know, wants to be put in the drawings. For the drawings, what URL does he go to?
urbanfarm.org/2023 kickoff.
There you go.
I'll put that in the chat too while we're doing this.
Excellent. All right. Now, what I've made friends with an absolutely amazing young lady down in Yuma, Arizona, and she and I have chatted regularly over the past year or so. And I was so intrigued by her project, I invited her to come on to the event today and do a presentation. So we're going to hear from Sarah Snyder on how she converted her backyard sand pit into an orchard. So let's go ahead and jump in on that, Janice. Sarah Snyder is an Arizona native, mother, wife, ballroom dancer, and now extreme orcharder. With her husband, she has planted over 50 fruit trees on their 2-acre property in Yuma, Arizona. She is working on a regenerative permaculture system that includes food forestry, rainwater harvesting, photovoltaics, permaculture, aquaponics, and alternative fertilizer projects. Her day job is a professor of English at Arizona Western College. Today, she will share with us the transition of her yard from sand to her orchard and beyond. Enjoy.
Thank you so much, Greg, for having me on your Fruit Tree Kickoff program. It's really an honor. I've been admiring your work from afar, and my husband and I have been working for years to get to this 2-acre property that we just couldn't wait to paint with your trees.
Wow.
So
Thank you so much for being here. And you and I actually talk a lot about your orchard, so I'm really excited to see what you've got going.
Yeah, I am so grateful for all of your advice and your mentorship as far as going in the deep end, building this plane while we're flying it. In my perspective, Greg's built lots of planes and I'm building my first plane. So I'm so grateful for help. And I'm calling this extreme orcharding with the urban garden. So in the beginning, there was nothing. On the first day, it looks like a lot of nothing. It's a lot of sand. We actually bought a property that was an orchard. It was actually an orange grove. So we had an idea that this ground was fertile, at least for citrus. And then we had gotten some figs from a master gardener in Phoenix when we moved from Phoenix. He said, "Here's your housewarming present." And I said, "Thank you so much." So we planted those figs. He said, "Just stick them in the ground. They'll be fine." We don't have any of those figs anymore, unfortunately, but we do have the grapes that he gave us. The grapes are on the left side of your screen. And then I got a little crazy. I got the bug. I started planting bougainvillea, which a lot of people don't particularly appreciate because they have thorns, and I get that. If you look at my arms, I have scars from trimming my parents' bougainvilleas when I was a youngster. So I thought, I will plant them around the window. I will give them a trellis to grow around, and then I'll just take a trimmer and get the rest of it so that they create a picturesque bougainvillea trellis. So we'll see if that works. It's really a blank canvas, and I just couldn't wait to paint it with Greg's trees. This is also a property where we get irrigation, and we were very intent about getting irrigation flood water from the county of Yuma. This water is actually coming from the Colorado River, and we're preparing to not have it anymore. So you can see in the background that there's a well, but we're also very excited about perhaps getting a source hydro panel, the little product placement right there, and creating a water reservoir so that we can hopefully water all of our trees into the drought as the Colorado River continues to be fought over in the states of Arizona, California, Utah, and Colorado. We bought this house knowing that irrigation was a precious gift that we might not have for much longer, but we thought it was worth it to at least try. So we're at least hoping to give our trees a good deep root system before we have to start watering them in a different way. But this is the summer that my husband decided he was going to grow grass. And we listened to Greg's podcast about, if you can grow grass, then you can grow wheat.
Really?
Yeah. And then we grew wheat. Now we have a bunch of wheat that we haven't separated from the chaff.
Nice. That's actually pretty straightforward. Get a metal trash can and bang it on the inside.
All right, let's do that. We just haven't had the time because wheat is a particularly stable element of our yard, and our trees need a lot more attention now. But unfortunately, those fig trees are no longer there. We actually had to regrade our property because the winds in Yuma are particularly, what do you want to call them, Greg?
Strong?
You warned me about them. They're strong. Yes. You warned me about them. And we found that where we had grass, the sand would actually build up over the grass. So our flat property became a very bumpy one. So we had to go back and have it laser leveled before we got all these beautiful trees right here. This was our first round. And then I got the bug and I went a little crazier. We did save one of these fig trees, and you can see our worm castings in this bag from the urban farm. And then we prepared with a couple of sweet potato slips that I grew in a 50-50 mixture of sand and worm castings. So they really loved that. And I was still growing some Palo Verde from a tree that had given me some seeds on our property. So I knew it was going to be happy there.
Nice.
So that was our first haul. And this is my amazing husband saying, yes, dear, I'll plant 50 trees for you.
Wow.
Because I had just had our child not more than a month ago. And he and a friend of ours basically planted all these first trees. We decided that we were going to plant our orchard with our citrus trees in the back because they're evergreen. So we have 2 rows of citrus trees, as you can see. We, of course, were putting all of the urban farm protocols into place and making sure that we gave them a nice deep watering. And then we just enjoyed them for the first night.
Wow.
This is the fruits of our labor. We have nothing better to do than gaze at our beautiful trees with a delightful moon. And then we planted our second row of citrus, and I was able to come out a little bit and help because my mom was here to help with the baby. We decided to go with a little bit of solar lighting, uplighting for each tree because they're all special. We have a mixture of lemons, limes, kumquats. We basically bought out the entire Urban Farm catalog for citrus.
Nice. Thank you.
And then we added a variegated pink Eureka lemon because I just couldn't help myself. It's not very happy, but it's there. And then these are just some pictures that I'm really proud of. Our first two lines of trees in the nighttime with the irrigation. It's just one of the most amazing sights out of our backyard window.
Wow.
But then October came along because we planted them in October, and October was very hot. And because we have irrigation, we used Greg's rule for the mulching our trees 6 inches
This,
away, 6 inches deep, and 6 feet around.
perfect. Yep.
But we decided to bury it under the sand because that happened anyway. It would have been, we would have
Wow.
been digging these mulch piles out of the sand anyway.
All right.
You
Cool.
can see is a wind-blown, wind-burnt citrus tree, but the moisture level is at a 3. So it looks like we didn't follow the rules, but we actually did.
Yeah. And that's from the wind damage.
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
So then I called Greg and I said, "What's going on? We need help." And my son Remy actually put the SOS out for our trees. And he said, "Let's put a windscreen up on either side because that's going to be there. The wind and the sand are going to desiccate your trees. And it's the leaves that we have to worry about because they photosynthesize and we need to protect them." So we did, and I'll have pictures of that in a bit, but I just want to emphasize that Yuma is an extreme place. It gets fog, it gets frost, especially where we are on the mesa. This is a picture of our first fog that we were
Wow.
also not prepared for in the desert. You wouldn't think that fog happens in the middle of the desert, but it does. And then this is just one of the most picturesque weather events.
Wow.
So then spring came along and we got our first haul of bare root trees, which I had never had any experience with. We tried to plant our child in our square hole. I would just like to mention that it's a square hole. And we did the root soak, and all of our sticks that we planted in the ground eventually came up with these gorgeous flowers. And I have never loved spring so much. Spring in Arizona is a special time, but this just made it through the moon.
Wow. Nice.
So there's nothing like seeing a stick that you planted in the ground actually come to life. As first-time tree planters, you have to have some faith, and we had faith. So then we had to look forward to summer. Spring was lovely, but we really had to summerize our orchard, and this is where the extreme orchard comes along. So not only have we planted these dwarf mulberries, again, Greg likes to accentuate that they're not dwarf because of the size of the plant, just the size of the berry.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And we also attached a windscreen to these 4 posts on both the east and the west sides of the orchard. And then I cut these, I actually had way more sweet potatoes, but I cut them into about 4 pieces each and threw them in the hole like Greg suggested. Again, another leap of faith, because I was like, I cut them into so many pieces. Are they actually going to sprout? each and every one of them sprout. Each and every one of these little nodes
Nice.
has the potential to grow a sweet potato.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's really incredible. I cheated a little bit and I let a couple of berries slip through and I let a couple of peaches slip through our first season, our first summer. And I have to tell you, these mulberries, they taste like my childhood.
Right?
I used to sit at school and wait for my mom to pick me up and pick mulberries off of a tree, not knowing that they were edible, number one, and that they were mulberries, number two. And I loved those berries so much. They're like raspberry without the acidity, a blackberry and a raspberry without the acidity, beautiful sweetness. And our Pakistani mulberries just went crazy their first year.
Yeah, they will.
So I was so excited and I want more. I got the bug for mulberries. I want to be the mulberry lady.
Yeah.
And then my tropic snow peach actually put 2 fruit out before I even noticed. The foliage was so full that I didn't even notice these 2 peaches growing. But by the time I caught them, I said, oh,
I'm going to eat a peach.
I'm going to eat a peach. I need to see what the tropic snow peach is. And I was the most excited about this white peach because white nectarines are my favorite. And I was transporting that to white peaches. Let me just tell you, they were delicious. They were beautiful. And I was so proud that I had grown those 2 peaches. It feels like I did nothing. I just stuck it in the ground, but no. So fast forward to the summer of summers, their first summer, and it is the world record breaking summer.
So that's this past summer of 23.
Yes, this is their first summer in the ground. And this is my plum. And as you can see, it's withering a little bit. The jujube is just happy as can be, but a little yellow at the bottom. The jujube tried to put off, I don't know, 100 fruit, and I had to pick them all off the first year so that we went roots, then shoots, then fruit. Right?
Nice.
I love that phrase. But yeah, our trees are suffering in this heat. And this is how we helped our trees, or are trying to help our trees get through the summer. So not only did we plant cowpeas, you can see cowpeas right here, and sweet potatoes around the basin of the tree, we also planted yellow clover.
Good.
And that is also a legume, I think, that will fix nitrogen for the tree as well.
Yep.
It's been a really tough go with this clover because it needs a lot of water to get established, but I'm hoping that the sprinkler system that we're top watering with is helping. And my husband made the most amazing sprinkler system. I don't know if you can see it. It's very economical with water usage, and he's creating more and more opportunities for me to grow more. So I'm super excited. This is our plan, basically our property. And what I've been showing you is the orchard here with the 2 rows of citrus and then the 2 rows of stone fruit and figs and jujubes and a mango and a guava. And then Greg and I had been talking about mesquite trees because I wanted to include mesquite beans into our homesteading diet with mesquite flour. And they're also excellent shade trees for the orchard. So I'm thinking that we'll put 3 mesquite trees, or what I like even better are 3 mulberry trees here, and put the mesquite and palo verde on the sides of the property, the east and the west sides of the property, to act as like large windbreaks. And then our 3 olives and another everbearing, the experimental everbearing mulberry, Illinois mulberry, is up in front of our house. And that's where the gray water system is running to from our laundry system. So this is the big overview of our house, and perhaps where we can grow. We can always grow farther, but I'm excited. I love it. It's such a great investment in your property. So again, In the beginning, there was nothing. And now you can see my husband and my 14-month-old walking through the mini orchard with our chickens and our vermicomposting and future plans for a natural water pool with maybe a fish harvesting element. I'm going down the deep end. Thank you so much for this opportunity to grow our own food and homestead and to be smart about it and to use your years of experience. And thank you for your mentorship.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it so much. And this is the part that I love. So we look forward to seeing what it looks like next year.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I'm going to take a bunch of those Maximilian sunflowers and throw them in the orchard and see how many I can get to come up and hopefully shade.
Awesome. Good job. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Oh, wow, 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 Greg. That's the first time I've seen that. That is so gorgeous.
Pretty cool, huh? I'm really excited to see. She is so dedicated to it. I'm absolutely quite sure that you know, her trees are going to thrive. She's doing everything right down there.
She has an area that would be, the worst of the worst places to be planting something in that sandy soil. And she's doing all of this soil building, and she did all the root soaking, and she followed all the steps, and the results are like proof.
Yeah.
In the most harshest of extreme environments, she is making trees. I knew you were excited about it, but I didn't realize it would be this good.
There you go.
That's good.
Yay,
All
yay,
right.
yay.
So do you want to go to the Anna presentation?
Yeah,
really?
let's jump in. So this is a quick video on our Anna apple. It's one of the 2 varieties of apples that thrive, and we're going to talk a little while about a 3rd variety that we're experimenting with. But let's go ahead and watch about the Anna apple, and then we'll come back and got more great things for you.
Awesome.
Here we are in the backyard next to my amazing Anna apple tree. As you can tell, it is incredibly productive. We'll get maybe 400 pounds of apples off of this tree this year. Remember, the only place that lack lives is between our ears, because when we look to nature, look at the abundance that's here. Here's what I do with the apples. Make dehydrated apple chips. We can make apple cider, both hard apple cider and apple juice cider. We can make apple cider vinegar. We can make apple sauce. We've done all of that with the apples off of this tree. This tree doesn't follow my urban orchard guidelines to keep the tree small so we can harvest it from standing on the ground. Well, that is on purpose, because in the summertime, the sun sets right about there. So what this is doing is this is giving me a nice shade structure for the back patio in the late afternoon in the summer, which is really cool. So that's one thing it does. Number 2 thing it does, again, it gives me leaves for mulch. Number 3, it gives me fruit. The 4th thing for me on this tree is I can actually climb it. Yeah, okay, I know. I'm 60 years old, but I want to climb this tree. I wanted an apple tree in my yard that I could actually climb, and this one is it. So this year we are going to have an amazing amount of apple chips, because that's mostly what I do with it. The other thing is we make apple sauce, as I mentioned earlier, that Heidi uses as the butter additive to a lot of recipes that she uses, so that we don't have to use as much butter. So there you go. Plant yourself an apple tree. They will bless you with an amazing amount of fruit. Well, there you go.
Nice.
Yeah. We had a crew before I left Phoenix. We had a crew come in and record several hours of content like that we're working on getting ready to release in the next year or so. So
All right. So one of the things that we are excited about this year is talking about the apple trees. And we have a new apple that we
Yep.
added to our cart. And I wanted to show our new items and to learn more about them.
Cool.
So this is our a store site, store.urbanfarm.org. And if you go up here to new items, you can see our new items. And we have a ghost apple. Now, this ghost apple is experimental because we've not grown it and had fruit on it yet. But we've got some really strong recommendations from Tom Spellman that this would be a great treat, a great one here. It's
Also, I've got input from other people around town who are actually growing them, and that's been good input so far. So
yeah, it's exciting. Now, the thing is that we say experimental because we've not personally experienced it. So when we don't say it's experimental, we personally have knowledge that it's working. So
yeah.
It'll be experimental for a couple of years and then we'll move it on out of that. But this is going to be our sweet apple. This is the ghost apple, a white one. How
Nice.
cool
And
is that?
It ripens before the July 1st cutoff, which is really important. If you were in our What You Need to Know Before You Buy Your Fruit Trees class, one of the things that is really important for the soft flesh fruit is that the fruit trees that you plant need to be harvested and the fruit needs to be harvested and off the tree by about July 1st. Otherwise, it just cooks on the tree.
Yeah, it's just so important to watch for that, especially with the hot summers we're having.
Yeah.
Another couple items we have is we've got the velvet mesquite. We've got 5-gallon versions of that. Now this is really important for those of you who are trying to supplement your food source with a healthy flour alternative. This is velvet mesquite. It's also great for native shade. Low water. I mean, once you get it established, it should be doing fine just on the water that's provided in the environment. You don't have to water it greatly when you have a bigger one. We've also got a screw bean. Look at how cool that bean is. Can you see that? Not really. So interesting.
Really. Yeah, it's a fun one.
Yes. And then we've also expanded our drip tape starter kit to have more items in it. You can learn more about that in one of our other classes, but it's there. And then we've got 4 blueberries. So we've got an emerald, a sunshine, a jewel, and an O'Neill. So we don't have one variety, and we replaced it with 4 other ones.
Yeah, I want to be really experimental. I want to be really clear with people. Blueberries are totally experimental. They need to be in a pot. They take a lot of doting over. So just know that to get them to make blueberries, some people have been really successful in the valley with them. Other people haven't. So just know that they take a lot of effort to take care of them. That's why they're experimental. And in my book, they will probably always be experimental unless we find one that is. They
will. Because they really need to be for somebody who's willing to take the time and care for them and make sure that they keep the soil acidic and make sure the pots don't get too hot, because you can't plant them in the ground. But if you're willing to do that, this could be the perfect plant for you. And then we've got some new mulch for your garden and some seed starting mix and a really cool fruit harvester. You learn about that in one of our podcasts.
Yes.
So that is our free items. And what I would tell you now.
Did you say free items?
Did I say free? Our new items.
New items. Yeah,
our new items.
Not free. Although we do have a gig that we're going to tell you about in a little while where you can get something free.
This is one of our new items that you're learning about in our free education.
There you go.
You can, of course, start shopping now. Some items are already running out, but you can shop at urbanfarm.org/order trees now.
So I just want to jump in. There are several bonuses that you get by ordering today. If you spend $150, you get a tree planting kit. We haven't got
to that slide yet.
I know, but I want to tell people, get them excited. We're going to talk about it more. Oh, okay, great. Thank you, Miss Janice. So if you spend $150 on trees and plants, you'll get a single tree starter kit. This is a really good one. Actually, it's $350, is it not, Janice? I think the one in the middle is supposed to be $350 for a.
You're right. That is a typo.
You'll get a free 50-pound bag of our organic Bioflora crumbles. And for anybody that goes bold and goes big and spends $1,000 on fruit trees, and we've had multiple people do that this season, we'll throw in a consult with me. I figure if you're spending that much money on fruit trees, you probably need some coaching on how to make sure that they thrive.
Yeah. Now, going back, we do have a phone line, a phone number that you can call if you would like assistance placing an order. Hannah is available at this phone number, 602-248-9256, extension 700. Now, that regular phone number will get you to Greg and I, but we're obviously not answering the phone today. If you call that number, extension 700, it is our customer service line where we have somebody available to answer your call. Okay.
Kathleen wanted to know if mesquite trees are considered fruit trees. They are not fruit trees, but they do make a nice edible pod.
Well, they are a food tree,
Yes,
just not a
food
fruit tree.
Yep.
Do you want to talk about the early bird specials? I don't have a slide for that.
Oh,
I can
please.
show the
Absolutely.
screen. You want to share your screen or you want me to share mine?
Go for it.
All right, give me that out of my. Now, we do have early bird specials, which are the bundles of fruit trees that are the okay, I'm trying to look and type at the same time.
So what we do is we put together bundles of fruit trees, bundle them together. We have our apple bundle, which is one of each of them. We have our peach bundle. And with the peach bundle, you get a successive ripening. And basically what that means is that it comes with 3 peaches. It comes with the desert gold peach, it comes with the tropic snow peach, and it comes with a mid-pride peach. And they ripen about 2 to 3 weeks apart, starting in mid-May. So from mid-May to the end of June, you get peaches.
So we have 5 early bird bundles. That is the apples, the apricots, a plum and plum blend bundle, the peaches bundle. And if none of those work for you and you want 3 trees, there's the perfect pick bundle, which will allow you from certain trees to choose a bundle of your own. So that's our early bird specials.
Cool. Thank you for that, Miss Janice.
Now I get to go over to, well, you talk to them a little bit while I grab my information for the drawing.
Oh, okay. Very good. So we give away things while we do this event live. And what are we giving away first, Miss Janice? A book?
You
maybe?
choose something.
Let's give away Susan's book to start with.
All right. I'm going to randomize my data here. Okay. And the first person I'm choosing is Lynn G. Go ahead and put your comment in the text tank with your
in the chat box.
In the chat box to confirm that you're still here. Let me go back to Zoom. Lynn G, you are getting the what do we give her? The book.
Susan Poisoner's book, yeah.
Awesome. All right. The next random choice is Linda Lee. You get to have a starter kit.
Lynn is here. Yes. Yay.
Awesome. And one more. What do we want to give next, Craig?
Oh, let's give away a consult.
A consult. The next random is John Bashir's.
Oh, so what our consults are, I started doing them about a decade ago. We get together for about an hour on the phone. You send me your address and pictures of your space, and we just chat through, you know, what you can do and how you can do it. I guarantee them with a money back guarantee. And in 10 years, I've done hundreds of them, and I've never given anybody's money back. Kathleen wants to know, can we pay for a consult? Yes, you can pay for a consult.
You can
Janice,
have choices.
Yeah. We do, Janice, Raymond, and I all do garden consults, and Janice will put the consult link um, in the chat
In the chat.
box. Yeah.
Hold on, I gotta find my chat box.
Yeah, right.
All right, I will look that up. I will put that in there. The next thing that we have right now to talk about is, oops, I'm going to hide this so I can stop confusing myself.
Shoda.
Shoda's awesome presentation.
Yeah, Shoda's our friend from Tank's Green Stuff, where we get a lot of our soils at. So he put together a soil presentation for us. So let's do it.
It keeps changing things on me here.
Technology. Shoda Austin has been active in the agricultural industry since 2005, working with livestock, cotton, alfalfa, nursery crops, orchards, and vegetable production. As a former University of Arizona compost cat, Shoda has been working with compost since 2013 and now works for Tank's Green Stuff. Tank's Green Stuff produces organic compost and landscape materials in Tucson, Arizona, specializing in organic practices and soil health. As the director of Tank's Green Stuff, Shoda is responsible for all aspects of the business, including production, quality control, product development, sales, marketing, social media, and customer service. Today, Shoda will be talking about soil. That's where it all starts. In this presentation, he will discuss the foundation for healthy soil that leads to flourishing fruit trees and successful urban farms. He will explore how quality organic materials can be applied to encourage healthy soil and in turn grow healthy fruit trees and gardens. Enjoy. Welcome, Shoda. Thanks for being here today.
How's it going, Greg? Thanks for having us. I'm really stoked to be here and honored that you asked me to join you.
Nice. Thanks for being here. And you are with Tank's Green Stuff, which is based down in Tucson. You're a soil maker. Tell me a little bit about what you guys do there.
Yeah, so our big thing is we take landscape trimmings diverted from our landfill recycling facilities, and we make organic compost with that material right here in Southern Arizona. And from that backbone of just really nice, high quality, OMRI-listed organic compost, we've then spread out to create a whole bunch of different products like our wood chips, potting mixes, and of course the Farmer Greg's mix, as well as fertilizers and like our super mix fertilizer.
Nice. What are you using for a source of nitrogen to break all that stuff down?
Luckily, we have a pretty decent amount of leafy material all year round and have a consistent feedstock in our landscape debris. But we also use organic dairy manure in our organic compost. And we also produce a vegan compost without any dairy manure in it as well. But primarily, it's going to be the organic dairy manure.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks for that. So let's just jump in and share away.
All right, right on. We'll get right to it. Soil, that's where it starts with Tank's Green Stuff. Today, we're going to be talking about soil health and how to build it. I'm Shota, the director here at Tank's Green Stuff, and this amazing presentation was created by Livy Lawrence, our marketing and sales assistant. So how can improving soil health benefit you? So first off, it can support a healthy ecosystem, which is the foundation for both an urban farm as well as our environment as a whole. Healthy soil can increase soil water holding capacity and improve the water quality. Healthy soil also provides more resilient plants with increased crop yields and more nutritious flavors. And of course, healthy soil reduces erosion and helps to sequester carbon from the atmosphere. So what is soil? The easy way to put it is the soil is three main components. You've got your organic material, which is your humus and your humic acid. You've got your inert material like sand, silt, clay, and rock. And then you have your living organisms, both macro and microorganisms. And then in between all of these three components, you have its interaction with both water and air and oxygen, which is key to healthy soil. So what makes a soil healthy? The key part of healthy soil is the balance between the chemical properties, the physical properties, and the biological properties. And between those three properties, a balance of those, you create healthy soil. So functions of healthy soil, I like to look at this kind of like the superpower of healthy soil. And the first one is air quality and composition. You have your water cycling and its effect on water quality. And obviously, Healthy soil is the foundation for our ecosystems, our habitats. It's estimated that a quarter of all living organisms on Earth live in the soil. It also helps with global temperature regulation and obviously is key to carbon and nitrogen cycling. Since the 1970s, we've lost over a third of worldwide soils. They've become moderately to severely degraded. And at the current rate, if we don't make any changes, by 2050, 90% of soil worldwide will lose their production capacity. So right now is just as urgent as ever to be creating soil, cherishing soil, and maintaining healthy soil in our communities, in our environments, and in our homes. And what makes soil so amazing is the worker bees, the living organisms that live within the soil. And so you've got your macroorganisms like earthworms, moles, beetles, ants, and spiders. And then you've got your microorganisms, which is what we do here at Tanks, is we look at ourselves, some people call composters dirt farmers, but we're really microbiology ranchers. We're ranching microbiology like fungi and bacteria. That's what we're doing. And so microorganisms like fungi, bacteria, algae, that's the microorganism part of soil organism. And they're the ones that make soil alive. There's what makes soil a city, a living organism that's breathing underneath our feet.
Nice.
And a quick note here, a lot of what we're talking about today in terms of the chemical and physical and biological interactions and activity in the soil is done in the rhizosphere. And the rhizosphere is just a fancy name for the root zone, which is the immediate soil that is in contact with the root and the soil volume surrounding the root. And that's where most of the microbial activity and interactions take place. So functions of the soil microbiology. And so here are just some of the things that soil microbiology does for the soil. And so without the soil microbiology, you're really missing an element of what makes healthy soil what it is. And the big three we're going to be talking about today are going to be your soil's ability to facilitate nutrient uptake by plants. And that's the microbiology's ability to find nutrients, to create nutrients or process nutrients into plant available forms. And then you have your biological control. So I like to look at the microbiology in the soil as a really healthy immune system. And so when your immune system or your microbiology is top notch and you've got it really super robust, you're giving your plants, your orchard, your urban farm, the ability to deal with pests, pathogens, viruses naturally without the aid of agrochemicals. And then lastly, this is going to be the physical property and how soil microbiology affects the physical property, and that's improved soil structure. So quite a few different types of microorganisms produce extra polymeric substances, which act like glue and give glue that soil structure and the ability for airspace and water space, and they can turn dusty soil into what we think of as rich, dark, nice, humus-rich soil. And then obviously, soil microbiology also contributes to nutrient cycling, organic matter and waste decomposition, facilitating plant growth, and help to detoxify contaminated soils. So healthy soils maximize nature's ability to support plant life. They're the foundation for healthy plants, people, and ecosystem. And healthy soil is the key or the foundation for a successful urban farm. And we recommend using organic products with our soil mixes for the best results. So how do we make healthy soil? How do we build healthy soil? So this is going to be part 2 here. And the reality of where most of us live here in the Southwest and probably all over the United States is that we're living in urban environments where our houses are built on top of degraded soil or imported dirt, which means our soil lacks organic material, any native or existing microbiology that we might find out in the wild, and especially down here in the desert Southwest, we're going to be without the organic material and the nutrients necessary to support an urban tree farm. So the first step to healthy soil is mulch. And I know Farmer Greg loves his mulch. He can't get enough of the mulch, right?
Yes, we do.
And
The
mulch
more,
is
the better.
And mulch is a tricky word. We get people coming up to our facilities and giving us calls all the time about mulch. And people use mulch interchangeably. And the technical definition is mulch is any material used to cover and protect the soil surface. We like to recommend people use things like compost, wood chips, mulch, or organic material, organic-based mulch materials. And here's where we get into how mulch does this. And this is the soil mulch interface. So you've got your backyard, you've got nothing but dirt. And we're going to throw down some of that woody mulch on there. And as Farmer Greg likes to say, 6 inches. And if you can do more, do more. But you've got your mulch, you're putting it down on top of your dirt. And here where the mulch and dirt meet, we've got our soil mulch interface. And this is where the magic happens with mulch and how we change dirt into soil. In this interface, we start to have as it starts to rain or you start to irrigate, you get moisture that accumulates here at the soil mulch interface. And then you start to develop the soil microbiology that's starting to break down that organic material that's in the mulch and turning it into humus. And as it continues to rain or it continues to be irrigated, that humic acid or that humus and humic acid and all that richness in that soil microbiology is going to start to trickle down into the dirt. And so over time, it can take months or years to do. Over time, we can take dirt and we can turn it into rich, healthy soil just by mulching it and making sure that we've got enough mulch and organic material there for the biology to feed on and to create humus and to filter down into the dirt and transform it.
When I was at the urban farm, I lived there for 32 years, and every year or two I would add the front garden beds. I'd add 2 to 4 inches of compost. And about 10 years ago, I had added so much that it lifted the beds up above the flood irrigation. I dug down to lower the beds. It was a process. But what I found was 2 feet of healthy soil that I'd created over the course of about 25 years.
That's amazing.
So it really works. It really works.
Right. And so just like you're saying, it can take a lot of time to do this. And not all of us have the time or the patience to let mulch and the soil mulch interface do what it does to create healthy soil. And that's where Farmer Greg's tree planting mix comes in. The Farmer Greg's tree planting mix is designed to rapidly create healthy soil. And so we've got ingredients like our organic compost, which is very humus rich and is going to provide us with that humus and humic acid. It's also inoculated with a microbial soil conditioner that's going to provide that richness or that beneficial soil microbiology right into the root zone and into your planting area. We've got the composted fine mulch here, which is going to provide us with carbon material and richness, which is going to contribute to both soil structure as well as a food for the soil microbiology, the fungi and the bacteria to break down over time. And we've also got some cocoa peat in there. And we really like the cocoa peat because that gives us instant texture and instant water holding capacity. And especially out here in the desert Southwest, it's going to give us the ability to lighten that soil and change the texture pretty rapidly. And of course, we've got the horticultural perlite, which is going to give us drainage and aeration right off the bat. And so when you're looking to transfer the soil immediately, there's nothing better than mixing in some Farmer Greg's mix. And we recommend a 60% Farmer Greg's mix to 40% native soil to create that blend. And that's what you'd be planting your trees in.
And we cover that in depth in our root camp program that we just launched and our planting, watering, and fertilizing class that's coming up this fall.
All right, awesome. So people be sure to sign up for that class. I'm sure there's going to be a lot to be learned there.
And they're free.
And they're free, even better. So this is what we recommend doing to rapidly change the soil for immediate planting. And that way your trees have a nice base to go off of. And I'm sure Farmer Greg has got a lot more information on how to do this and how he recommends going about planting the trees. And to wrap up this healthy soil part, our philosophy here at Tank's Green Stuff is to mimic nature. Our goal is to let nature's way of processing and creating healthy soil and supporting plant life. We want to cultivate that and make the most of that and maximize nature's ability to do that. And so here we've got our little display jar of what we've got. And so here at the bottom of the jar, we've got our native soil, which is what it looks like here in most backyards in Tucson and the Phoenix area. It's just going to be plain old dirt. And then above that, we've got our 60-40 Farmer Greg's mix to native soil blend. And then we've thrown on a little bit of our organic compost and a little bit of super mix. And that's going to give us, in that soil mulch interface, we're getting a head start on it. We're already putting the richness, we're putting the microbiology and that nutrients right there. And then we've got our composted fine mulch on top of that, which kind of mimics the material that's broken down, but hasn't broken down all the way. And then the woody mulch or the decorative wood chips, that goes on top. And that mimics the stuff that falls from the trees, the branches and twigs that just land on the forest floor. And so from the top down, you've got your newest material to your oldest material, your least rich to your most rich. And we're mimicking the forest floor. And I'd like to say right now that if you can do the Farmer Greg's mix and the wood chips, you're doing great. Everything else is extra credit. And if you have the time, the resources to go all the way, there's no reason you shouldn't do it. And another bit of extra credit that we like to add in is using a biostimulant or a microbiology, or to introduce beneficial microbiology. So we sell a product called Agrigo Ultra, which is a biostimulant, and all it does is it supercharges the existing microbiology, because it can take anywhere from 6 to 18 months to establish microbiology naturally, and that will do it in a matter of weeks. The Back to Feed microbial soil conditioner is the same way, where you have to basically put the mix into a bucket, bubble it up, create a living solution, and then you irrigate with that, and you're just mainlining the microbiology, the beneficials right into the soil. And that's
Nice.
totally not necessary, but can make a huge impact.
I'm going to say it, especially with the heat that we get in the summers now,
Yeah,
it's becoming more and more necessary.
it is.
We actually have we add to our 60-40 planting mix, add a dose of mycorrhiza.
Yeah. So that's super important, especially like Greg was saying, as it gets hotter and our plants are dealing with more and more stress, the younger the plants are, the more susceptible they are to things like heat stress. And when you've got maximum soil microbiology right off the bat, you've got a maximum and super robust immune system that allows plants to better deal with that stress factor. So you get much better transplant success, as well as less transplant shock when you use stimulants or inoculants in your plantings. And so what not to do. So here are things that we recommend avoiding. And obviously there are going to be situations and conditions where you might just have to use these, but things like neonicotinoid coated seeds, pesticides, fungicides, herbicides, and chemical fertilizers can reduce or deteriorate any of the hard work that we've put into creating healthy soil microbiology. Soil microbiology and agrochemical substances aren't really designed to work together. And in most cases, using those chemicals can inhibit or ruin your soil microbiology. So if you have to use it, which we recommend you don't, but if you just have to, which happens, we recommend using a biostimulant or inoculant after the fact to help reestablish that soil microbiology rapidly.
But we really encourage you to reach out to the Urban Farm team before you use any of these to identify the problem. We get a lot of people finding bugs and stuff and treating with chemicals that aren't addressing the problem. So you need to make sure that whatever bug or disease you have, that you're treating it with the right thing. And that requires identifying what the problem is first.
Exactly. And in a lot of cases as well, there's IPM or integrated pest management methods that can allow you to do things. You can deal with pests and weeds or pathogen pests naturally using other bugs to come in and feed and attack them like ladybugs. And I also like to mention at this point that when we're creating an ideal environment and habitat for healthy fruit trees and gardens, when we're creating that kind of habitat, it's going to attract fauna and flora alike. If you're creating a habitat or an environment that's going to be great for trees and plants and gardens, it's also going to be great for bugs and rodents and other critters that might be in your neighborhood. And so the two kind of go hand in hand, and we have to learn to live with it opposed to be fighting it, because naturally they're meant to coexist. And so a little bit more into pest busting.
Yep, and I get these questions all the time. So I'm so glad you're jumping in on these. Go.
All right. So scorpions. First of all, that's mostly an Arizona problem, the scorpions. And a lot of the most common scorpion in the area is called the bark scorpion. And that's why a lot of people think that there's like this correlation between wood chips and scorpions. But the reality is that scorpions are looking for a home. And so we did an experiment with the Sky Island High School here in Tucson, where they went out and collected scorpions out in the desert and then put them in terrariums. In each terrarium, they had dirt, rock, wood chips, and then they had a nesting area. So rocks, brick, logs, things that might we see in the backyard stacked up. And we found that scorpions are not as likely to be in wood chips as they are to be in the native dirt or in gravel or rock. Scorpions are looking for a place to hide. They're looking for little crevices and cracks in walls, log piles, brick piles where they can live and creep in and out of. And wood chips mat together and create this real thick mat where there isn't enough pore space or air space for scorpions to crawl in and hide. They're looking for a little place or a little cave to chill out in. And so it's just one of those things that just doesn't happen. And you're just as likely to have scorpions in the wood chips as you are in the rocks or in your lawn. The next one is termites, and we get this a lot as well. For termites, people are always like, what's wood chips? And termites love wood. They eat wood. But just like scorpions, they're looking for a consistent source of food, and they're looking for somewhere where they can create a home. So they're looking for big timbers like 2x4s and beams where they can tunnel through and create space, or dead trees or dying trees where they can tunnel into the log or the trunk of the tree and create a nest. And so wood chips, again, because of all the different pieces and the small particle size, there's not enough material in there for them to be chewing through and creating these tunnels where they feel safe and secure to create a home. And so neither one of these pests really are attracted to wood chips, and wood chips don't bring these pests to your yard. Chances are they already exist, or they're coming to your yard for other reasons like a wood pile or the 2x4s that are holding up your roof.
Right. Before you jump off of this slide, I did an experiment at the urban farm over the course of about a decade. I had a garden bed where I planted fruit trees that was 4 feet wide and about 12 feet long, right up against the house. And we also had the termite service come and put in bait stations all the way around the house, including in this raised garden bed that I had consistently 6 to 8 inches of woody mulch in. So every year I'd put another 3 or 4 inches of woody mulch in that garden bed where I planted the fruit trees. Never once in over a decade was there any activity in the termite trap in that garden bed with all those woody mulch, with all that woody mulch. So
yeah, it's just not something they're interested. They got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah. Bigger trees to gnaw on.
So in conclusion, we've got healthy soils as a foundation for a healthy urban farms and healthy people and healthy ecosystem. And the healthy soils around the world are the foundation at which we live on and should be treated with nothing but love and respect. And we should be working real hard to make more of that happen in the world. And to build healthy soil for fruit trees, imitating the forest floor and maximizing nature's ability to produce plants or to support plants and to produce fruit is the best way to go about doing that.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
For sure. And so right now, I'd just like to say thank you for Farmer Greg and Janice for setting this up and having us on.
Awesome, Shota. Thank you so much for that presentation. It was great. You did awesome.
Thank you for having me. I hope everyone learned something from it.
We carry a lot of your product. We carry the decorative wood chips. We carry your compost. We carry Farmer Greg's planting mix, obviously.
Yeah. The acid loving mix.
And the acid loving mix. The cool thing about our program is that we offer a buy 3, get 1 free on a lot of your products. So the soil products and the mulch products that we carry from Tank's Green Stuff, if you buy 3 bags of it, we give you a free bag.
That's such a good deal. It's so hard to pass up a deal like that.
Thank you, Shota.
No worries. Thanks, Greg.
Have a good one.
You too.
All right. All right.
He did so good.
Yeah.
He wanted to make sure that he had something that was really going to work for us. So he put a lot of energy into it. And
he did.
I think I'm going to watch that thing over and over again, just to make sure that I absorb all the great information. Microbiology ranchers.
Isn't that cool?
I'm totally putting that like a little bumper sticker or something one of these days.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We should put all these presentations into Root Camp, by the way.
I completely agree. I'm going to have to set up these will go into the video section.
Oh, all right.
Maybe.
Cool. Yeah,
Maybe.
that makes sense.
I'll figure out where they go. They'll go good.
Cool.
All right. So we've been answering a few questions. We're not going to spend too much time on that just because it has want to make sure we're focused.
Yeah.
If we don't want to miss something important. But somebody asked, where do you get these? where do you get these products? So you can go to our general store, which is at store.urbanfarm.org, or the shop now link that I gave you earlier. And in our website, there is the general store section. And in the general store, you look under soils, mulch, and dry amendments. Now, the cool thing is the buy 3, get 1 free section that Greg was talking about is a lot of these products we are able to, we just set it up. So you're going to need a lot of it. And so we set it up so the pricing structure is you can buy 3, get 1 free. On the website, there is a save when buying in bulk section for those items. And you're just going to click the button to buy 3, get 1 free, and make sure your quantity is 1 for every 4 bags that you want. So if you put 3 bags and you click that box, then you're going to get 12. If you put 3 bags and you don't click that box, you're going to get 3.
So just it's a different selection. Exactly. I put the store.urbanfarm.org in the chat box. So you can Vicky, I want to touch a couple of questions really quick. Vicky said, will these products work for garden or just trees? They absolutely will work for all your garden products.
We've got the planting mix is perfect for trees. If you've got a raised bed, we've got a raised bed mix. The top mulch is exactly what you need for tree basins. If you need a top mulch for your gardens, the composted fine mulch is what we have for that. But yeah, this is beautiful, beautiful stuff. It's going to be the same microbiology concepts for both of them.
John just put something in the chat box that needs to be addressed real quickly.
Yeah.
He says, why do you only sell fruit trees? We don't. We sell small potted fruit producing. So we sell grapes and figs and olives,
berries, pomegranates,
many different kinds of berries like that.
All right. Now, I am seeing some more specific questions in there that we can address those in our other classes. So, specific, exactly. And we do it. Like I just saw somebody throw in something for pomegranates. We had a pomegranate class on that.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to be doing a drawing soon. Last chance to make sure you're registered for that. If you already registered, you're good. If not, throw your name in there. In fact, I think I'm going to put the slide up for registration really quick.
Perfect.
This is, if you have not already registered for our drawing, go ahead to this link, urbanfarm.org 2023 kickoff. This is only good during the live presentation. So if you're watching a replay,
I don't think you shared your screen.
Oh, there we go.
There we go.
This is only good today during the live event. I will be drawing names, and then it's not going to be doing any good. You can sign up. You'll get other information from us, but you won't be in a drawing. So I'll be doing another drawing in a moment. So I'll grab all the new names that are in there. But before I do that, we're going to do Katie Apricot next. We're going to do Katie Apricot, but I need to download something that keeps popping up. So talk to everybody for a moment.
Let's see here. Citrus. We have a very limited window for your citrus orders, and we're already running low on some of our citrus. It's very effectively priced, and the trees are really nice. We get them out of Yuma, Arizona. So yeah, we've got citrus available. You ready?
I'm ready. Now I just need to find my Zoom button so I can start sharing again.
All right, cool. Janice has got like 4 monitors that she does all this stuff on, and
it's not enough.
And it's not enough. There you go. All right. Oh, look at me. I'm directing something there. This happens to be my favorite one right here. I have a lot of favorites. What can I say? This happens to be one of my favorites. This is the Katie apricot. And this is the time of year when we're actually harvesting apricots. And come and check it out. These are the best ones to get. These are the ones that are nature picked. They're sitting on the ground. They're the best. I just, blow off some of the stuff if there's any stuff on them. Oh my God. That is the best. Katie apricot. Here we are. So that is a store size apricot. We don't get a lot of those, partially because we're not actually thinning the fruit off of the tree when they're smaller. The more fruit on the tree, the less size you're going to get on the fruit themselves. Normally we're getting something between here and here on the apricot, but they taste just as good. They dehydrate just as well. They make jam just as well. What you're seeing in the grocery store is the perfect fruit. What we're getting here is all of the fruit. So know that it's okay if you're not getting all your apricots like this. Oh my God. I think that's one of the biggest things I miss is my peaches and apricots.
Well, I had a prolific amount of apricots this year, and they were so yummy. And they happened to be at the optimum time of really, really good really good harvest. And Janice had time to do something with them. And
Oh, nice.
I made apricot brandy glaze. So I've been using that. It's a softer than a jam, and I've been using that on all sorts of different meats while I've been cooking. And
nice.
It's just yum.
Love that. Love that. So you're going to share with people about buy 3 get 1 free. We do a lot of our products where if you buy 3 of them, you get 1 for free. We do a lot of soil products. We actually do one of our plants, which is the dwarf black mulberry, and some of our other products. So Janice, are you going to show us how that works?
I will. One of the most important things that we do this with is our planting mix and our mulch. Now, you're going to need a couple of bags of planting mix and about 4 bags of mulch for each tree that you get. So when you choose one of these items on the cart, you're going to come down here to where it says save when buying in bulk. And then you'll click the little button and then you'll add. So if you are going on the soils and the mulch and you click on the mulch down here, if you click this box and you want 4 bags, this changes to the price for the 4 of them. If you want 8 bags, change it to 2. And the price is still $36, but this is the quantity of 2 means you're getting 8 bags. So that's enough for 2 trees to get started, because honestly, we want you to have a nice, thick 6-inch layer of mulch around each tree. And this is going to get you started on that. Now, we do have other items that are buy 3, get 1 free, one of which is our liquid combo.
Oh, yeah.
It is purchased a little different. It is 1 item. It is 1 item right here. You're just going to add that to your cart. It'll have all 4 of the 1 quarts.
And this is for foliar and drenching. This is a fertilizer.
This is our liquid amendment system of soil nutrient and foliar feeding, drench feeding product and also you can use it to prepare your trees for planting. For potted trees, you're going to prepare the soil. For bare root, those are going to need a little extra love, so they actually get a root drench. And this package of 4 is a 1 item click, although you can get a downloadable of the nutrition schedule. We do have a few of our tools and such. We have our
hold on before you can go ahead and keep typing, Janice, but on the nutrition, we cover that in a couple of our classes on what to do with these products. And we have found that the people that are using these products regularly are having much more success with their fruit trees, especially through the summer.
Yeah. Now, we do not have any buy 3, get 1 free on the fruit trees. Here's another tool. drip circles. If you do that, you can get 4 of them for one price. The only plant that we have a buy 3 get 1 free is the dwarf black mulberry, and that you can click here, the Urban Farm bundle. You'll get the buy 3 get 1 free.
It's because we love them so much.
Yeah, we buy
And
them.
they make great replacement for oleanders. And they make food. And they make food.
I have a few oleanders in my neighborhood, and I'm not in love with them. They're not even on my property because those little pink things come flying in my front door every time I open them during the flowering season. I want to give everybody in my neighborhood a dwarf black mulberry.
There you go.
I'm like, here, I love you.
Well, that's what I used to.
Instead.
That's what I used to do at the on the street at the Urban Farm.
I know
there were 22 houses on the street, and over the past 20 years, I gave fruit trees to people on my street.
I know. I'm like,
dozens of fruit trees planted on that street.
Here, have a mulberry. It's so much prettier.
There you go. So citrus. Let's talk about citrus real quick. I don't think we have a slide for it. Our biggest challenge with citrus is that there's something called the citrus greening disease, and it has not been found in Arizona. It has been found in California. So about 10, 12 years ago, the USDA locked down the states and made it so that we couldn't ship in. It made it so it was really hard for us to ship in and out of Arizona. And they put other requirements in for growers. And we only had one grower in the state that actually went through the process, that Sunset Citrus Nursery. If you're buying citrus trees from any nursery in the valley, it is highly likely that they're getting them from Sunset Citrus Nursery, because it's really hard to get citrus trees shipped in from anywhere else. And like I said, Sunset is the only commercial nursery selling citrus trees in the state. It just became
so hard for citrus growers to invest in that infrastructure to be ready for that. And so we're grateful that Sunset Citrus growers are still doing it.
Yeah, because we'd be toast if they weren't. But given that, we have a limited supply of product that we can get. So what we do every year, last week, is we put our citrus up, about 3 weeks ago, Janice, for pre-orders. We placed an order, so we only have a certain amount of citrus trees coming in. They're coming in next week, and then you'll pick them up the following week and the following week. So
they'll come in next week. We'll inspect them. We'll organize them. We'll start setting aside the ones that are already purchased and take care of them until people are ready to pick up. But it takes us a few days to get the lot ready for the process that we do. It's a lot of fun. It is an amazing place to be there when the trees are there, because it just has the lot transforms with life. The crew is a great group of people that care about helping you as well. Those that are new get trained. Those that are experienced are there to help. Now, the citrus trees and the mesquite trees are picked up in September. They are potted. Those that are picking up in January, there's going to be a mix of a lot of bare root and some small potted.
And we have 3 rules on the fruit tree lot whenever we're working. Number 1 is be safe. Number 2 is have fun. So it's like Christmas Day on the fruit tree lot. And rule number 3, Janice?
Don't touch Janice's purple pen.
Don't steal Janice's purple pen. Exactly.
And who likes to steal my pen the most?
Me.
Now, if you're trying to identify what the size of a tree is, on our citrus page, I'm going to show this. Our page, right smack dab in the middle of all the different varieties, is a picture of Greg standing on the lot with a tree, and you can click on it and it has some information. This is the 5-gallon or number 5 potted. Here's him next to a 15 and here's him next to a 24, just so that you can kind of visualize this to see what we're happening. We don't have any 24-inch box trees this year, but we do have some 5s and 15s available still. And they may have a stake. If they have a stake, you're going to get it home with the stake, and then you're going to take the stake out, and we'll have more information about what to do with that.
Yeah.
So,
All right. So we have a limited supply of citrus. Apparently, we're already out of Mineolas and the number 15s. Sorry, we're doing our best.
you can still shop today. You can place an order there or call. Hannah is taking phone calls. I do know that one person has already commented that they were running into a question on the website. Hannah will be able to work through most of those questions with you. If you still can't find what you're looking for, I will be available next week to help you through things. However, we're running out of some varieties. So if you want to place multiple orders to grab something that you want, and then we can try and make some changes later, I'm available to do that. That's basically my main focus next week, is fixing order issues. And let's get your trees reserved before we run out of them.
Yeah. Anne asked a really great question. Are they dwarf or full size? Here's the thing about dwarfing rootstocks. What makes a tree a dwarf is the rootstock. We've got a class coming up about a little bit about rootstocks in a little while. Dwarfing rootstocks, there's only one tree, the Bonanza peach, that has a dwarfing rootstock that does well in the desert. All the rest of them, they struggle. So we don't bring in dwarf trees. We bring in semi-dwarf and standard trees, and then we coach you how to prune them. It's really super simple to prune them, so to keep them dwarf. So
I saw another person ask, can we show you how to dig a hole?
Oh yeah.
Yes. We've
Absolutely.
got classes on that. That's coming up, and we've got extra videos in Root Camp.
Yep. Go sign up for Root Camp.
Go sign up for Root Camp.
And that's if you go to fruittrees.org, should be on the front page of a flying banner that one of them says
buttons.
Root Camp. And there's
a button too.
Cool.
All right.
Cool.
We covered everything we're supposed to do right now. We're supposed to do some drawings.
Uh-oh.
Let's go do a drawing. And I just downloaded new names.
Okay.
So what do you want to give away, Greg? If you look at the drawings giveaway page, you tell me which one you want to choose, and I'll pick a name out of the
fruit tree.
Fruit tree. Sorry. Denise Hutchinson.
All right, Denise. Hey, you got a fruit tree.
What else are we giving away?
Again, I don't know what the list includes, but I think
the list is on the launch schedule. It says drawing giveaways.
Ah, very good. All right, cool. So let's give away another fruit tree while I go find out.
All right. Then the next one is Albert Zavarov. I apologize if I said that wrong. Albert Zavarov. Okay, what else are we giving?
A tree planting kit.
A tree planting kit and a mulberry. How about that?
All right, perfect.
A tree planting kit to Kathleen Norlin. Kathleen Norlin is going to get a single tree planting kit. And then a mulberry. That is Barry Gruters. Gets the free dwarf black mulberry.
Nice. All right.
All right.
We are jumping. Go ahead.
What's next?
All right. Backyard orchard culture. Oh, this is perfect for the person that asked about dwarf or full-size tree. And this class is for you. This is with Tom Spellman with Dave Wilson Nursery. And it's called What is Backyard Orchard Culture? Let's go.
Oh, hold on. Almost there.
All right, cool. Thank you.
There we go.
Tom Spellman has been involved in the nursery business since 1973. At that time, he was a freshman in high school and rode his skateboard to work. Since then, he has worked for several nurseries, including Laverne Nursery, where he was a general manager for 20 years. And currently he is the Southwestern sales manager for Dave Wilson Nursery. Dave Wilson Nursery is the largest grower of fruit, nut, and shade trees in the USA. They grow over 10 million trees per year and ship wholesale worldwide. Over the past 20 years, Tom has done television, video, radio, written, and conducted workshops and lectured on the concepts of backyard orchard culture and fruit growing in general. Tom's dedication and passion for quality fruit growing has taken him to dozens of states in the USA, as well as several countries around the globe to consult and lecture on fruit trees and growing concepts. Today, he's going to be talking about and digging deeply into what is backyard orchard culture. Enjoy. Welcome, everybody. Greg Peterson coming to you from the Urban Farm in the heart of Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm really excited today. We have Tom Spellman. Tom is a longtime friend of mine, and he has been in the nursery industry for over 45 years and working for Dave Wilson Nursery for just coming up on his 20th anniversary. So welcome, Tom. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me, Greg. It's always a pleasure to work with you on the projects. You know, you're such an inspiration to gardening in the desert. I just can't thank you enough for having me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I always love our conversations. So you guys at Dave Wilson Nursery, somebody came up with a few years ago something called backyard orchard culture. And it's this whole methodology by which you plant and manage fruit trees. So that's what we're going to talk about today is backyard orchard culture. And let's just start with maybe a brief definition. What is it?
Backyard orchard culture is a concept. And it's not necessarily technique because there are so many variables that people can use to gear things towards their own gardening projects and procedures. But basically for me, backyard orchard culture encompasses three different things. Number one, people should consider size controlling their trees to a size that's manageable for them. And I've been accused in the past of telling people that they should keep their trees to a specific size. But in fact, I've never done that. I've always told people, you need to decide what a manageable size is for you. And that's the size you should be willing to manage your tree at. And there's a lot of variables there, depending on when the fruit ripens, how long does the fruit hang on the tree. For example, for my purposes, if it's a stone fruit that's only going to ripen over a 2 or 3 or 4 week period, I want that tree at low enough so that I can reach every piece of fruit from the ground. I don't want to have to climb a ladder. I don't want to have to get out a pole pruner. I don't want to have to climb up in the tree anymore. So for me, a peach, a plum, a nectarine, an apricot is going to be a tree that I'm going to manage at about 7.5 or 8 feet. Now, for me, if it's something like an avocado, I have a totally different philosophy. That's a tree where I'm looking for more fruit and I'm getting a much longer hang time. I'm not talking about 2 to 4 weeks. I'm talking about 2 to 4 to 6 or even 8 months. So for an avocado tree, I can easily manage it at 15 feet and go out with a 10-foot pole and a basket picker and get all the fruit I want on Sunday morning to use for the next 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 days. So I don't mind managing a 15-foot avocado tree. I'm not going to manage a 15-foot plum tree. But that's everybody's individual decision. They need to decide what's manageable for them, choose a size, and accept the responsibility of managing the tree at that size. That's concept one.
Hold on, before you go past that.
Sure.
Avocados are non-starters here in the Valley.
I totally get that.
So,
I was just using it as an example.
I got it. But the same could be applied for citrus, though, correct?
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
We can go 15,
lemons,
20.
grapefruit.
Yeah.
Sure. Easily managed. And I do have a lemon tree that's about 12 feet and a couple of grapefruit and oranges and mandarins and things that are probably in that 10-foot range. So I totally think citrus are in that same category.
Got it. Perfect. Number two.
So number two is choose what you like and what you will use. You want varieties that are going to lend into your daily culinary lifestyle. You want things that you enjoy. And I've had examples over the years that people who have planted things and then decided 5 or 6 or 7 years down the road that wasn't really what they wanted. So now you've invested 5 years worth of time, 5 years worth of irrigation and management to decide that really isn't something that you wanted in the first place. So sometimes you can graft that variety over to something else. More often than not, you're going to have to pull that whole tree and start with something fresh. So choose varieties that are adaptable to your area and your climate. If I was doing this lecture in your area, Phoenix, Arizona, we'd be talking about early season varieties. We'd be talking about things that stone fruits and palm fruits that don't hang on the tree late into the season because of your summer heat stress. But if I was doing this in Billings, Montana, I'd have a totally different perspective on what's going to ripen well and what's going to do well in the area. So you always want to make sure that you're taking climate adaptability into consideration for your varieties, geographic adaptability for your rootstock. You want rootstocks that are going to thrive in your soil and your climate as well. So I guess that's probably the second most important concept to backyard orchard culture is grow what you like and what you'll use, grow varieties that are adaptable to your climate and your geography.
Cool. And number 3?
So number 3 is pretty simple. You want to make sure that you are growing varieties that are successive ripening. A commercial grower, for example, would want to harvest all of this fruit at one time. They may be growing 50 acres of Legrand nectarines. So they're going to come in with people, trucks, trailers, equipment, ladders. They're going to pick all that fruit at one time and they're going to send it to the wholesale market. They're going to wash it. They're going to grade it. They're going to pack it and they're going to ship it all out and the farmer gets his paycheck. That's what the commercial farmer is looking for, getting all that fruit ripe at one time. Now, a backyard grower, on the other hand, doesn't have a commercial expectation of what that tree is going to produce for them. But what they want is a little bit of fruit all the time. They want successive ripening throughout an extended season. So, and that again is going to vary greatly depending on the geographic area in the country. You know, in my area, I can harvest something out of my yard every day of the year. Probably in your area, under most conditions, you can do similar, but maybe not through that hottest part of summer when your physical stress is just a little bit too strong. And you know, most of those fruit varieties hanging on the tree aren't going to do well at 115 or 120 degrees.
Right.
So, you know, you do have kind of a period during that mid to late summer when you're probably not going to harvest a whole lot unless you're really, really able to protect it.
Right. Yeah. It's the,
if I was growing again in Billings, Montana, I'm going to have a period from fall all through winter into spring where I'm not going to be able to harvest much of anything. It's just too cold. So completely different from your climate, but they're going to have a period of at least 6 months when they're not going to be able to harvest much of anything. So what you want to do is you want to choose varieties that are, again, adaptable to your geography and adaptable to your climate and get the most out of your backyard garden space. You want to be able to harvest as much as you can throughout the season that is adaptable for fruiting trees in your area.
So let's talk a little bit more about successive ripening while we're here. One of the bundles that we have available for peaches is the Desert Gold Peach, which is an amazing peach. And then in the middle, we have Tropic Snow or Soise Swirl. And then at the end of the successive ripening, we have the Mid-Pride Peach. So that's peaches for us about mid-May to the end of June.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So tell everybody, just explain what successive ripening means in layman's terms, let's say.
Well, one variety after another. You know, if you're going to grow peaches, you want to be able to harvest from the earliest part of the season to the latest part of the season that's adaptable to your geographic area. So for you, you're looking at early season varieties. You want early to mid-May to be your first variety. You want an early June variety or late May variety. You want that mid-June to late June variety. So with 3 different varieties in your area, you have 1.5 to 2 months worth of successive ripening peaches. So that's basically the concept right there. You want to be able to adapt into your area with varieties that'll give you fruit over an extended period of time. And in turn, you're not looking for a commercial expectation. A commercial grower of peaches in the San Joaquin Valley in California is expecting to get somewhere between 250 and 350 pounds of peaches off of each tree.
Wow.
So again, take into consideration a 2-week window for your harvest season, for your hang time. So how many people actually have use for 300 to 500 peaches in a 2 to 3 week period of time? Now, if you're a master preserver and you're going to either dehydrate or you're going to can, or you're gonna freeze fruit. I mean, you can absolutely extend out your season by doing some of those things, and maybe you want a big expectation of fruit. But if you're like me, basically what I do is eat fresh fruit. My wife's an attorney. She doesn't spend a lot of time in the kitchen. I like to go out and work on my trees and pick fruit and eat fruit out in the garden, bring some things into the house for the family, and that's good for me. So if I get 50 fruit or 75 fruit off of an individual variety over a 2 or 3 week period of time, that's enough for me, my family, and for me to be able to give some away. So, I don't think there seems to be this obsession with, how much fruit can I get until people realize how much fruit they can get. Right. And at that point, it's like, what do I do with all this?
Yeah.
So don't be afraid to knock on your neighbor's door. Don't be afraid to donate some fruit to a local food bank. I actually have a group coming in this morning that will be picking 3/4 of the fruit on my Rio Red grapefruit tree. I can't, even with eating a couple, 2 or 3, 4 grapefruit a week, there's no way I can even make a dent in the amount of fruit that tree produces. So I give away 3/4 of it every year, along with a lot of the other fruit that I grow. So make sure make sure it's not going to waste. Make sure you're making good use of the fruit, whether it's donating it or whether it's, knocking on the neighbor's door or having your cousin come over and help to harvest, or preserving, canning, doing things like that. Because if you grow a large size tree or even a medium sized tree, you're probably going to have more fruit than you really know what to do with.
Right. Well, and a standard sized tree can easily be 20 feet in diameter and 20 feet tall, right?
If you let it, yes.
If we let it, exactly.
If you let it.
So what we're doing in backyard orchard culture is we're doing something called high density planting. So that same space can house more trees. Can you talk more about that?
Absolutely. So you talked about your 3 varieties: Desert Gold, Sawsy Swirl, or Tropic Snow, Mid Pride. All excellent varieties. They're going to give you that extended harvest. Now, if I was going to grow one commercial sized tree and get that 250 to 350 pounds of fruit, I could expect to take up an area of probably somewhere between 3 and 4 or even 500 square feet. Right. But now let's consider this. I can take all 3 of those varieties, or 4 varieties, all 4 of those varieties, and I can plant them on close spacing in that same 3 to 4 or 500 square feet. So now I'm only using the footprint of one commercial sized tree, or even smaller than that, and I'm able to successively harvest out of that area these 3 or 4 varieties. So instead of getting all that fruit in 2 or 3 weeks out of the space of one tree, now I'm getting that fruit over a 1.5 or 2 months off that same footprint. So that's what high density planting is. And one of the other options that you'll often find are multi-budded trees, where they have those 3 or 4 or 5 varieties grafted onto one tree. And those are always going to be, for the most part, successive ripening combinations, so that you'll get that fruit over an extended period. I like multi-budded trees because we're the largest grower of multi-budded trees in the country, and I am a commissioned salesman, so they fit right into my lifestyle as far as a sales rep. But quite frankly, I really like the ability to be able to select the varieties that I want.
Right.
And that means multi-planting. So you're putting those varieties that you've selected into that space that you've dedicated to it. The concept of multi-planting to me is really more appealing than a multi-grafted tree.
Well, and you can also plant these trees in interesting ways. So the trees that you're seeing in the picture and behind me, that's a peach hedge where I plant them like 5 or 6 feet apart. I've done that with citrus and mulberries as well. So talk about the different ways we can actually plant these trees.
Well, the sky's the limit. This is not commercial agriculture. This is backyard orchard culture. And I don't really want my backyard to look like a commercial orchard.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the fact that we can now use fruit trees in other ways. We can use fruit trees for function in the yard. A hedge is a great example. You can grow a citrus hedge and put 10 varieties in 30 feet or 40 feet. And now you've got a screen, a functional hedge that you can use to block something or screen something. And you're also going to be able to harvest 10 varieties of fruit out of what you only really intended to be a hedge. So backyard orchard culture is kind of going out of the box. It's using things to your advantage in the landscape for form, for function, for beauty. Nothing is more beautiful or more fragrant than a citrus hedge when it's in bloom in the springtime, and you have varieties like Meyer lemon and things that will bloom for literally 6 to 8 months out of the year. Nothing to me is more beautiful than peaches in bloom in the springtime, the beautiful reds and the beautiful pinks, double flowers, they'll give you bloom for 3 or 4 weeks, and that's spectacular. I find myself bringing in sprigs off of my blooming peach trees in the springtime when they're in bloom, thinking, well, I've got 2 or 3 branches here and I need to thin it anyway, so I'm going to take 1 or 2 out of that fork and I'm going to bring those in and let my wife use them for a floral display in the house. I mean, it's a beautiful display. Consider fall colors. Even in your area, even in Phoenix, Arizona, when you have things like peaches and nectarines and apricots, you're going to get some decent fall color.
Right.
And that's absolutely beautiful. I mean, when you get those bright golden yellows and those oranges and even some varieties that go into reds and give you that fall color. So there's a lot of advantage of being able to use fruit trees, not only for fruit, but for form, for function, and for beauty in your landscape.
Gotta love that. And a big piece of backyard orchard culture is not being intimidated by pruning. And one of the things I want to talk about, so when the trees arrive to us in January from you guys, we have to prune them back a significant amount. And that has a tendency to freak people out. We're pruning their trees back significantly. And what I'd like for you to do is explain why it's important to prune them back, and then why it's important to continue to keep them pruned back.
The thing that you have to consider is when you're working with a bare root tree, like you are during the winter months, we're growing a 1-year tree or a 2-year tree, and we're trying to put some sort of a scaffold branching structure on it. And when we dig that tree, we're very limited as to the amount of root system that we can actually dig out of the ground. So more often than not, the root system that we're going to be able to harvest for those trees is going to be about 18 inches in diameter. Where when you look at the overall size of the tree, it might be 4 feet, 5 feet, 6 feet with a well-balanced feathered head on it. But now you have to take this into consideration. How much ability does that small root system have to actually push out the structure of that tree? So what you want to look for when you're growing a first-year bare root tree is you want to balance between the scaffold and the root system. So I'm going to make sure if I'm planting a bare root tree that's a 2-year tree that has scaffold branching on it, that I'm going to take that scaffolding structure back down to either the size of the root system that the tree is providing, or even more aggressive than that. If I'm going to plant a 1-year tree, which is what we would usually call a whip tree, it doesn't have much branching on it. It's just a rootstock, a graft, and a single stem that might go up 4, 5, 6 feet. So what I want to consider with a whip tree, with a 1-year tree, is where do I actually want it to begin to branch? And for backyard orchard culture purposes, we want a low branch tree. So on a whip tree, I'm going to prune that back down to about 18 inches to 24 inches above the graft. And I'm going to regrow my structure from that low point on the trunk. So there's this perception in the retail garden center business that bigger is better.
Mm-hmm.
So if I were to take a couple of whip trees and plant them up into a 5-gallon container, and I pruned 1 or 2 of them back down to 18 inches, and I left 1 or 2 of them at 4 feet or 5 feet or 6 feet tall, the average customer is going to come in and look at that tree and say, well, they're both the same price, so I'm going to take the bigger tree because the perception of value is there. I'm getting more for my money. When in fact, that's a misconception. With really what they're looking for is that low cut. They want that tree to be pruned down to a low structure so that they get a low scaffolding head that they can do most of their work, their pruning, their thinning, their harvest from standing on the ground. The bigger the tree, when you plant it, the growth is going to go straight up from that point. And now you are in the 2nd or 3rd year, if you haven't restructured the scaffolding or the scaffolding point on that tree, in the 3rd or 4th year, now you have a tree that's already too big. And so you want to make sure that you're, again, choosing that size. I want a 7.5-foot tree. So I'm going to make my first cut at 24 inches. I'm going to grow that structure out into midsummer. Now I've got another 2 or 3 feet of new growth. And during that midsummer first year, I'm going to take that growth in half again, and then allow that next flush of growth to come out. So by the end of the first season or the second season, I now have a tree that's somewhere between 4 and 5 and 6 feet. I have a low scaffolding structure that I can easily work with. I have developed fruiting wood that I can start to harvest from the ground and do my work from the ground. And I'm growing that tree into a structure that will be manageable for me into the future. Now, going forward, you're going to accept the responsibility of keeping that tree pruned to your chosen size. So if I go out and stand next to my Santa Rosa plum tree and put my hand up in the air, about this time of the summer, I'm going to take the tree out at that size, 7.5 or 8 feet, and allow one more little flush of growth through the fall, and that's going to be my total fruiting structure for the next year.
Let's go back to planting the tree. If we plant a tree with too much top growth and not enough root support, what happens?
Well, one of 2 things is going to happen. Either you're going to get a very weak first season's growth, which means that you may get 2, 3, 4 inches of growth. You're going to get a lot of twig dieback if you haven't done a fair amount of reduction. So you're going to lose a fair amount of that scaffolding structure in the first year anyway. Or you may lose the whole tree. The root system may not have the ability or the stored nutrients or carbohydrates to be able to push out 6 feet of top growth. So what you're doing is you're making the tree's job for the spring and summer season easier. You're allowing it to do its work in a way where it can develop new root system and develop new structure at the same time. By not doing that reduction right up front, your ability to grow that low scaffolding head, low branching fruiting structure is greatly reduced. So what oftentimes happens is even if the tree does survive, you get all that growth up top, and now within that first couple of years, you have a tree that's way too big to manage. So after spending 2, 3, 4, 5 years growing that tree and realizing, hey, it's too big, now you have to go back and do the same thing that you would have started with in the first year and regrow that low structure. So it's a total waste of time. You want to make sure that you're doing that work up front, that you're allowing that, horticulturalist, professional nursery person to work with you on establishing that low scaffolding structure in the first year, always.
Yeah. Or we do it ourselves.
Absolutely. But unfortunately, there is this intimidation. People are, like you said, intimidated by pruning. And I get those calls and emails all the time. It's like, well, I just planted this tree and I really don't know what to do. You know, it's a 1-year tree and it's only, half of an inch in caliper and it's 6 feet tall. And I'm like, cut it back to 18 or 24 inches. And people freak out. They don't want to do that. They're totally intimidated by making that cut, when that is by far the most important pruning decision you will ever make on that tree. Now, on the other hand, if you're buying a 2-year tree, if you're buying a tree that's established in a container, then you want to work with that existing structure. You don't want to cut it back to 18 inches and remove all that structure. So if you're buying a 2-year tree or an established container tree, you want to look for trees that have a low scaffolding structure, and that's what you're going to work with. That's where you're going to make that cut at 2 feet or 2.5 feet, and you're going to leave 3 or 4 or 5 well-spaced low scaffolding branches, and you're going to take 2/3 of that growth off the top.
Yeah, you heard it here, guys. 2/3 of that growth off the top.
2/3.
Really important. And we do this in the summertime, something called summertime pruning, right?
Well, I wouldn't do anything that dramatic in your area in the summertime. Okay. That's basically wintertime, determining the structure of what my tree is going to do in the future. In the summertime, you're going to work on an established tree, a tree that's already growing in your landscape, and you're going to do that summer pruning to strictly achieve size control. You're going to want to make sure that you bring that tree back down to that size that's manageable for you, and rejuvenate down to that size every summer going forward.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Tom.
Greg, it's always a pleasure.
Man, I love working with him. He is just a font of information. Is that a good word to pick? Is that like a $100 word?
It could be a font, or it could be a fire hydrant, because it just keeps coming. Every time we need him, he's there. Yeah,
exactly. I got a couple questions that I want to address in the Q&A. And I've been answering people's questions, that a lot of them. Oh, Wendy Weber says fount. Thank you. She's a writer. Fount.
Thank you, Wendy.
Word. Woo. Lynn says, what happened to the fuzz on peaches? All our peaches have fuzz, as far as I know.
I've seen peaches in the grocery store lately that do not have fuzz.
Well, there you go.
It might have something to do with the way they're harvested
and washed.
Yeah.
I'll bet that's it. Vicky says, what are the best months to prune existing mature trees? That depends. We cover that. Yeah, right. We cover that in root camp. We do minor pruning in the summertime just to kind of structure the trees. You want to prune apricots as soon as the summer heat ends. They don't like to be pruned. I have been told by multiple people they don't like to be pruned in the winter. And then the major pruning on the rest of your trees, you do in the winter. And Anonymous says, I have heard that you shouldn't amend the soil when planting your fruit tree. I'll tell you what, if you don't amend the soil when planting a tree, good luck. It has in my opinion, an 80% chance of dying. Yeah, Janice.
I think I want to address the idea behind that. I think the idea that comes from that, we can talk about it more in one of our classes, is that the tree you want to plant something in an environment that it's going to be adjusting to the current thing. So if you plant a tree in a hole that has just planting mix, then it's not going to want to go beyond that to the native soil. That's the idea behind that. And which is why Greg's recipe for years has been a mixture of native soil and new mix.
Yeah.
And you can't rely on just our native soil. It's just not healthy enough. So you absolutely need to give it some place to thrive and get strong and get, happy as it starts to grow out. Once it gets to be a happy tree, it'll have the strength to grow out into the native soil. So it's a mix. It's important to have a mix.
Yeah, definitely. And I've heard that a lot from people, don't amend the soil, but in the desert, I mean, even here
Yeah.
where I'm at, it's clay soil. If you dig a hole and put a tree in the hole, good luck. You know,
Mhm.
we need to do our best to give these trees and plants a limb up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there you go. All right, let's see here. We have a video. Are you ready for the next video, Jen?
Am popping it up right
On
now.
the
This is
Go ahead.
it's one of my
No.
favorite trees. It's one of my favorite trees. All right,
Oh,
back it up a little bit. It started too early.
okay. This is another one of our short videos.
Yeah.
As part of my food forest, we have mulberries growing in the yard. And these are very interesting mulberries because of their size and their taste. And in permaculture, we have something called stacking functions. Stacking functions means that we use one asset, like a mulberry tree, for multiple things. Now, what this particular mulberry tree is doing is it's shading my office. My office is behind there, and this is a western exposure. So this cuts down the air conditioning bill of my office dramatically in the summertime, which is really cool. The second thing that this tree does is it makes amazing Pakistani mulberry fruit. The third thing it does is that it drops leaves every winter. And those leaves make mulch for my compost system here at the Urban Farm, which we'll talk about in another episode about the regenerative composting system that I've got set up here at the Urban Farm, which includes chickens, by the way. This is an amazing tree. It was planted about 3 years ago at an inch diameter base, and it's easily 6 inches diameter now. Plus, there's nothing better than fresh food from your yard that you get to pick every single day. This is how we eat most of our fruit in our yard, standing out in the yard. I actually brought 3 of those back with me
Of course you did.
here to Asheville, and they're planted and growing. We'll see what happens. The interesting thing, our other tree that we brought in last year, the Illinois everbearing mulberry, which is an experimental. It's one of the one we're experimenting with in Phoenix. They sell those in nurseries here in Asheville. So
It's very popular there.
yeah. So
All right.
we'll see. I got some of those too.
Well,
So root camp.
I am so excited about root camp. I am so excited.
Yeah, I know, right? So let me tell the quick story, and then I'll let you tell the quick story. I've been educating people on fruit trees since 1999. I started doing it, and if you've been around me at all, you know the reason I do it is because you can go into most nurseries and every big box store, and they will sell you a fruit tree that will never make fruit. And I just call that bogus. That's wrong. So I started educating about it. And over the years, we've created videos and content. I have a fruit tree manifesto that about 10 years ago started out as 1 page and turned into 15 pages or something like that. We used to print them all. And then we put them online.
The thicker it got, the more crazy you were to keep printing those out and handing them out.
Right. And so what did Janice do with all this stuff about 3 months ago?
Well, about 3 years ago, we started putting some of the podcasts and some of the other classes that we had in like this section called the fruit tree member area. And then we started putting all the PDFs in the member area, and it just kind of got cumbersome, and it was a little bit challenging to find what you were looking for. And then you and Taylor found this really cool thing that this new customer hub to be putting our courses in. And I'm looking at this going, I bet I could really do something with that. And so we kind of took a few moments and we organized what we had and thought out, you and I brainstormed what we wanted to have in there that was the most important information to give somebody the success rate, how can we help them? And then doing my thing, I just started throwing all that stuff into a system where I had an outline, and I organized it, and I figured out what I wanted.
This is, by the way, everybody, this is what Janice does. Thank you very much.
I just got super organized, and I had everything just kind of like mapped out in my head, and then I moved it to paper, and then I moved it onto the system, into the customer hub, and we now have right now 5 different sections, and we're putting stuff in there, and I'm currently behind the scenes creating new lessons to put in there. So we've got 30, how would you count it?
I think 37 so
37
far.
or 39 lessons.
I just realized we need a whole section on how to water your trees, because I have a Greg's methodology of watering fruit trees, and we don't have one of those in there yet.
We do have something on water. We do have lessons on watering, but I'm thinking we might break up how to care for your trees and divide it up for how to care for your trees, and then a special section on how to water your trees, and have multiple lessons on that, including one that I'm writing right now. I'm saying Greg and I are going to finish this lesson together on watering your trees in extreme weather, super hot summers that we have, but there's also some of that could be applicable to cold zones too.
Yeah, we had Tom Spellman on this tree chat in August talking exactly about that.
Which will be the video that we'll bring in and put that there.
Yeah.
So
perfect.
yeah. So it's a passion of mine to create this kind of resource, accessible resource.
I don't know that I'd call it a passion. I'd call it an obsession.
Yeah.
So root camp is there. It's free. It's a master class. I think we've figured out there's at least $1,000 worth of education. Enjoy. And that's how committed we are to your success on growing fruit trees.
And on the fruit tree, I'm gonna share my screen here.
Okay.
On fruittrees.org, you open up this page, this will disappear. And root camp, click here oops, I got a typo. Click here for more information and to register. Just click on that. And down here, you can download our 3 new catalogs.
Oh, yeah, you should. So here's another thing that Janice did. I did a class with Susan Poisner, who you're going to see give a presentation here in just a little while. I did one of her courses. I purchased one of her courses, and I was doing it. And one of the things that she said in the course was that if you're doing fruit trees, you need to do a catalog. And I figured catalog, and it got to be catalog. It's an amazing catalog. You should go to fruittrees.org and download or check out the catalogs. They are spectacular.
There are people out there that have like little price lists, little 1-page or 2-page lists of all the different items and the price. Well, prices are never they're kind of useful, but they kind of change. I want something that helps. We're all about teaching people. Yeah. So I threw all the information in there. So yeah, click, download, and enjoy. All right.
Perfect. All right, let's see. Oh, you're next.
No.
Oh, no, we're going to talk about the discount code. So here's the really
discount codes.
There's no discount codes, but there are prizes if they place orders today. That's what I wanted to talk about, because we give special bonuses if you buy your fruit trees by launch weekend. So if you order and pay for $150 worth of fruit trees or plants, we give you a single tree starter amendment kit. If you order $350 worth of trees or plants, we give you a 50-pound bag of bioflora fertilizer. We sell that. It's a $75 value. We sell it for $60. We're giving you a $60 value for 50 pounds of organic fertilizer. And the biggest bonus, and we've had a couple people claim this year, if you're planting an orchard and you spend $1,000 on trees and plants, we're going to give you, well, it says your choice of bioflora or a consult with me.
Who's
And-
not going to take the consult?
Right. So interesting story, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, and I see this person in our classes and stuff, but maybe 6 or 7 years ago, I did a garden consult with someone. And after we got done with the consult, she thanked me profusely and said, "Oh my gosh, I wish I would have done this before I blew $1,000 on fruit trees that all died."
Oh,
Right?
heartbreak.
Yeah. So I promise you, you will learn so much about your space, whether you get a consult from Janice or from Raymond or from we are deeply committed that you learn so much about what's going on in your space.
Yeah.
So, and maybe if you, Janice, maybe you can pop in the chat box the link for
I can.
consults if people want to buy one. And we're going to give at least one more away of those today too, here in the drawings in a little while.
I'll get the link. It just take a moment.
Why does bioflora and azomite and heart go so fast? Because you're doing so. That was from Megan. Because you're doing something right. Here's the thing: fruit trees. Hold on to that thought, Janice. My brain's on a roll. Fruit trees, plants, gardens. They need to eat every day. If you're only fertilizing them once a year or 3 times a year, they're not getting enough nutrition. And we saw that in spades. I'm getting chills preaching about this. We saw that in spades this summer with the amount of people that sent me pictures and said, "Why is my tree dying?" And it's like, well, what's your watering schedule and what's your fertilizing schedule? And people were actually sending me pictures of trees planted in gravel up against block walls. And it's like, this is the home, what was that movie?
Home Alone.
Home Alone move. It's like, oh my gosh. You have to, if you don't know how and where to plant your trees, Tuesday is our class on 3 ways to kill your fruit trees. Please come and join us. And Megan just said, why does the bioflora, azomite, and heart go so fast? I answered that. And then she said, all my baby trees survived their first summer.
And this was a difficult summer. This was
No, it wasn't.
I mean,
it was the most difficult summer that we've ever had. It's the hottest summer ever.
It was ridiculous. I lost stuff. I did. I was busy. I didn't pay attention to some of them, and I did lose stuff. But yeah, it was. If you made it through this summer following these rules, you are pat on your back because congratulations.
Yeah. Woohoo!
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done preaching for now. We have a video with Janice about the conversion of her backyard. Did I miss anything before we go there, Janice?
Nope.
Okay, cool.
We're going to talk about our classes and other stuff later.
Yeah. And stick around at the very last video is my video that I filmed yesterday. Janice hasn't even seen it yet, about our farm here, what I'm doing here on our farm.
Well, darn, now I have to stick around.
Right.
So, and we'll do some more drawings again too.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Janice's backyard conversion. This is amazing. It looks like the first picture that she's going to show you looks like Sarah's backyard from earlier today.
I was so connecting to her story on that too. Yeah. Super quick. Somebody asked if you can combine orders. Yes, just put a note in your comments for me to look at multiple orders, and I'll combine and find out which special you get.
Yeah, of course. We're here for you. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's all about fun and yay.
Yay.
Janice Norton is the general manager at the Urban Farm, where she manages several major projects, including their fruit tree education program, the Urban Farm podcast, and the permaculture design course, as well as their online educational classes, chats, and summits. She earned her degree in sustainability from Arizona State University, became a master gardener, and then took her permaculture design course training in Phoenix. While Greg is the visionary at the Urban Farm, Janice is the implementer, using her superpowers as a project manager to make things happen and keep them on track. In today's presentation, Janice shares how over a 3-year span, she turned her backyard from bare dirt to a thriving desert orchard and garden, by building a thick layer of woody mulch and then covering the ground with sweet potatoes and cowpeas as cover crops. Wait till you see the transformation. Welcome, welcome, Janice. Thank you for being here today and sharing about the transformation of your backyard.
Well, I appreciate that, especially since I've been with you all week.
Oh, there you go. One of the things I love about this project that you did, you started with, and you're going to show pictures of this, but you started with a blank dirt backyard that had water running off of it. And you've transformed it in what, a mere 5-6 years into what we're looking at behind you. So that's just amazing.
Well, the timing on it was really kind of funny because my husband and I decided to move in the middle of my senior year of college. Going back to college as an adult was challenging enough. And then we threw in moving a house we had lived in for 20 years into it. And we bought a property that was barren. I mean, from the ground up, we were starting. And it reminded me of some very key elements that I needed to know for this. But the end result was I had a property that was starting from scratch and had no water harvesting planning at all. And I was able to create something I really enjoyed.
Well, and you've done something unique in that you, rather than planting a lot of like vegetable gardens, you planted a lot of fruit trees. So you really created a backyard orchard that is amazing.
I did. Well, because I work with you on the projects that we do and our seed project, I am a very full-time person and I don't have the time to spend doing a lot of little projects around the house. And I wanted to make something that was going to work for me. Mm-hmm. And orchard was really what I needed. I needed the microclimate in my backyard to make myself feel good about my new home.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. And what do your neighbors think about this?
They're amazed. I share food with that. In fact, I just brought over a bunch of grapes to my neighbors and they are, they all pile up and get around the table. Grapes, zucchinis from the little garden I have, apples, peaches, plums. They're all really enjoying the sharing of the harvest.
Nice. So everybody just take note at the picture behind her right now. And in about 15 seconds, you're going to see what it looked like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So let's jump in. Yeah.
All right. My talk today is going to be on passive water harvesting or wood chip mulch. Now, my property that we had gave me the challenge in the fact that there were limitations to how much water my property would take. And I needed to find a way to store water for my plant life. The introduction to my yard is basically this. My husband and I bought a new home in March 2016. We were downsizing into a property that we could manage. And we were the first owner to this property. We were up in the northern end of the valley. There was no yard life. There was nothing living on this soil. I don't even think there were bugs in the soil very much. It was desert soil. It was barren, not a weed in sight. And we were faced with a lot of potential for flooding because when you have a new community being built, they bring these machines in that compact the soil, but compacted, dry desert soil does not absorb water. Water just runs off of it. So I wanted to make something that was going to work for me and my yard. The solution was organic matter. I knew that I needed to bring some organic matter in. Fortunately, I had Greg to brainstorm with a lot during this process, and that really helped. So the solution was mulch, just organic mulch. And I ended up bringing in 2 great big loads of chopped up trees that had been brought down by one of the neighborhood landscapers. They brought them in, they dropped it down in front of my yard. They looked like this. This picture is actually after we had been working on the pile for a little bit, but I got 2 big loads like this to put in my backyard to start with. When you are talking about water harvesting, let's start thinking about some numbers. The water harvesting capacity in my space, the backyard was 2,400 square feet. Kind of typical, maybe a little bit on the larger side for some of the neighborhood houses, but that's what I had. My watershed, the roof that led into the backyard was 1,350 square feet. That was the part of the roof that directly drained into the backyard. Now, from that math, I figured out that I had 3,750 or 3,750 square feet of rainwater harvesting area. I already knew that I did not want to have storage tanks because I didn't feel like I had the space to give that up for what I wanted to create in my yard. I knew that whatever I was going to do was including the water from the house and the water that went on the yard. When you start doing the calculations on that, the harvesting area of 3,750, and you do the math of the standard calculation of 0.6 times, that's how many gallons a square foot will collect in an inch of rainfall. Do the math. That adds up to 2,250 gallons per inch of rainfall. In the desert, we don't get a lot at one time, or we don't get a lot all year long. We get it in bunches of water. Sometimes we'll get it all in one time, and then we'll maybe get a couple inches. But I was not going to be prepared to have any kind of storage container that would hold 2,000 gallons of water. I needed to come up with a different solution. Soil is really a key element in my space because my soil was not ready to absorb 2,250 gallons of water in a 1-inch event. When I went and did some research, and this was the most current research here, 2,250 gallons per inch of rain. And this grid here is the last few years of rain in the northern valley that we have, the northern area of our valley, with an average of 9.68 inches annually. Now, some of you out there might be knowing that's what you get in a week or less, but in Phoenix, that could be an annual yearly amount of rain. Every crucial drop that I could put and store in my ground would be important. But that meant that my annual average potential was 21,000, just shy of 22,000 gallons of water. There's no way my soil was ready for that. So going back to my yard, adding mulch was the key. We started putting it in, bringing it in wheelbarrow by wheelbarrow, just dropping it in the bag, spreading it out. I, with the help of my husband and my son, ended up putting anywhere from 6 inches to a little more than a foot of woody mulch in this backyard space, laying it out. We brought it in from the 2 dumps. We brought it in from just buying wood chips by themselves and any other way that I can get it. The wonderful thing that I realized was that right off the bat, the very first benefit of this was the dust was eliminated. There was so much dust that was being brought into my house, and that was eliminated as soon as the yard was filled with mulch. So we kept going and going. And believe me, it took a little while for my husband and I to do this. We're both full-time workers at the time. But with this 6 to 12 inches thick across the entire yard, it was fabulous. And the first rain of the season came in and the water was gone. I mean, I didn't see it within 15 to 20 minutes. My next door neighbors, just on the other side of this picture up here on the right, did not have anything in their landscaping, and water that sat in their yard sat for 4 days. This was going to be a key factor later on, but I didn't realize how impactful that was going to be on me at this point. So here we are, we're starting the first element of creating soil in my backyard as opposed to dirt. Creating soil and watching it grow takes a lot of patience. And I was kind of getting tired of looking at wood chips. So we started pulling it back. And you can see over here on the picture that this wood chips were deep. I wasn't kidding about having 6 to 12 inches deep. But we pulled it back. We put some reclaimed bricks in, put a couple of gardens to get started. And I kind of worked with that. Eventually, I wanted trees, so I ordered them. I ordered apples and plums and peaches and apricots and grapes and mulberries and a fig, and that's what I wanted to start with. And I ended up having, I think, 16 trees to start with. But that meant digging, and digging was going to be a big, big challenge in my space because we had a lot of old river rock in the ground. We had caliche, which is a calcium-based natural concrete that was formed in the soil from years and years and years of water working its way through the soil, decades, thousands of years. And that was a challenge, but we started digging the holes for the trees. I was so excited. I've got my husband, my best friend there, digging these holes, getting me ready for this orchard that I had planned. 6 months in, the holes were dug. They were backfilled with soil and starter amendments to get that ecosystem going, which was really important to me at that point because there had not been any decent life in the soil for so long. But after good rain, the soil was dark. This was exciting. Then we planted the trees. We planted almost all the trees in one day, and it rained that night. I was really, really excited. But later on that evening, I went back outside to see how it was looking, and I realized I had a major issue with drainage. And I had learned a lesson because I needed to observe what was happening. This hole here, you can see by the pair of gloves right up there, was actually one of my smaller holes. This is the next day after the rain. And what should happen when you do a percolation test is that the water should drain out in 30 minutes, half hour, 3 hours, 4 hours, something like that. My predicament was that I had that level of water 4 days later. Immediately, I recognized a problem. We pulled the trees out. We started to work on this from a different angle. My big lesson, don't skip that percolation test. I mean, I knew better and I still skipped it because I thought I was in a hurry to get my trees on the ground. My neighbor's drainage problem of the water not soaking into the soil had been hidden because I had all the wood chips. I didn't see the problem, but it was still there. Now, the whole story of how I dealt with that is in my story at urbanfarm.org/mudbath. I encourage you to take a moment, go check it out. It's kind of fun. Got a little series going there. It's probably time for me to put the next one in. But I ended up pulling all the trees out and storing them for a while. The goal was to change the whole makeup of the back part of my yard. We put up a wall that was 4 or 5 bricks high there. We brought in organic matter. I put some of the clay soil up against the wall so it would stay, and I brought in a bunch of new soil. I brought in truckload and truckload of soil, and we even brought in a motorized tiller to mix it in together. We had compost, we had topsoil, we had lots of different organic material. We had taken the wood chips out because I didn't want to bury those, but I was putting in all of new organic material into the soil to get it started. And I ended up elevating that back section of my yard a good 18 to 24 inches, I think, maybe a little more. I didn't measure. So finally, after a while, we got the trees in, and I chose to wait until the next winter to do this. And we planted the trees, and I had nice 6-foot berms around the 6-foot wide basins with berms around each tree, filled those in with wood chips, had them all identified, and thought I was done. But I ended up bringing in more wood chips. I also added some grapes, and this is my grape trellis here, which was strategically placed to protect the trunks of the trees. And I was really quite excited. Now, this picture, when I first added this picture to my presentation here, I hadn't realized one thing that was really cool. This little mound, I say little, it's funny, is the size of this pot. And that was just wood chips that was left over because everything else, that pot could have been put in the ground, and that pot would have been 6 to 12 inches. And then above that, I had all of this other mulch. I was truly trying to create a very dense mat of wood chips. And a few years later, the impact on the soil is crazy. Now, the proof that this system was working came to me pretty quickly. By year 2, the rains were soaked up. We had a single rain event, maybe just about 2 hours. We had 3 inches of rain. It filled my backyard. And these are my young trees here. It filled my backyard. There was a little lake of wood chips. But half an hour later, the lake was gone. And I could walk on this. I chose very gingerly to do that because I didn't want to compact anything. But I could walk on this, and between the soil underneath the wood chips that had already been started and the wood chips, all the water was retained in my yard, and none of it left the property. So that was, here we are. We have a 3,750 square feet at a 6-inch rain event. I had 2 3/4 inches. So in that single event, I had 6,187.5 gallons arriving in my backyard. And it was all absorbed within 20 minutes. That was pretty cool. Totally sold my husband. My husband loves talking about that story to his friends. So this was really the confirmation that I was doing what I needed to do. If you look at this and realize what I was doing was planting the water. I was keeping the water in my soil. I did not have any storage containers that I was dealing with to try and drain. I needed to have it all in my soil, but I was also trying to create a blanket ecosystem that I could plant in every space. So that was what I was able to do.
Hey, Janice.
Hey, Greg.
How does that compare to your next door neighbor's yard?
Well, my next door neighbors, I had one that was to my east, a little bit higher than me. The water would run off of their grass area, off of their tree area, and go through the wall into my space. So technically, I actually had more than that 6,000 because I was getting rain that would come through from my neighbor next to me. The neighbor on the slightly lower side of the slope, that rain again stayed for 4 days or longer. I lost track. I got too busy taking care of other things where the rain that stayed in a low spot just did not get absorbed. All of the houses in the neighborhood were graded by the developer to have the water run out as much as possible off the property into the street. I had already rectified that and I wasn't losing any.
Nice.
So the next season I had my trees growing. Here is my mulberry, my absolute favorite tree in the yard. This is a weeping Santa Rosa, very happy. This is an apple. There are wood chips everywhere. Everywhere you go in my yard, there were wood chips as was growing. And one of the things that I did on top of that, because we live in the desert, I added ground cover on top of the wood chips. And we did this mostly with sweet potatoes and somewhat with cowpeas. And this is my section of trees. You saw this picture earlier. There's 3 trees here and 3 trees here. And the entire space in between was covered with sweet potatoes. Interestingly, I did an experiment where I had half of my orchard had planted the sweet potatoes and half of my orchard, I had planted the cowpeas. Now, sweet potatoes came up first and they blanketed really well. The cowpeas came up later. I didn't have as much success with the cowpeas in that section. And to this day, the part of the yard that had the sweet potatoes and had the bigger, more lusher ground cover of green on top of the wood chips was definitely the cooler, more productive zone of my yard. This is my friend Ray. He's actually helping me try and harvest some stuff, but he got lost in it. He's kneeling there, but he's lost in my sweet potatoes. And this is just a few months change. Here we are with, this is in the spring, the early spring before the sweet potatoes had kicked in. This is looking from the west side of my orchard, looking due east, and just a few months the sweet potatoes started to cover in. The trees were a lot happier and you could barely see the path through there.
And how many years into this project is this?
This is year 3.
Wow.
This is year 3.
You went from a dirt barren backyard to this in 3 years.
Yeah, I know, right?
In the desert.
In the desert.
Wow.
Yeah, it was truly amazing to watch. Unfortunately, I'm allergic to citrus, so I don't have any citrus trees in my yard. These are all deciduous. So the wintertime they go bare, and then in the spring they pop up with green, and it is so exciting to see this happen. And I had other green. This is an artichoke plant that just exploded. Like, you see how happy this artichoke plant was? I had so many artichokes on that plant that year based on where it was and everything. And then I have my grapevines. This is a picture where you can just kind of start seeing some of the grapes that were popping up. My grapevines are so prolific because of the way I water. So here again, this barren desert backyard, the ground had been raised, it had been leveled, it had been super compacted with construction. All of the topsoil on my half of the street had been taken off and moved to the other side of the street just to help elevate their side. So the property had no plant life. It had no topsoil. It had no health. And here's a picture 3 years in with just luscious green growth and excitement and plants just super happy and starting wherever they wanted.
Nice.
And this is 5 years in. This is my grapevines that we had. You can see some neighborhood trees behind us, but then I got my plum trees and my peach trees, and it's just fun, fun. And this section right here, I turned into a pollinator garden. I keep adding flowers every year to make sure that I've got flowers to bring the birds and the bees into. Here we go. Another beautiful picture with some of my apples that I harvested, looking back into the forest with some flowers that I've got underneath my trees, and a visitor and that's one thing. I have such wildlife. I have birds and lizards. I have so many lizards, and I literally have quail nesting in my yard right now and other things. It's just a fun, fun place to be.
And those are apples on the right.
This is one of my apples. This is my first really big, at that time, harvest of Dorset golden apples. Since that time, now I can get four of those buckets. And I really do keep my trees kind of small because it's just me and my husband and whatever I can pawn off to my neighbors. That is my yard.
Excellent.
Thank you.
I know that had a fair bit to do with rainwater harvesting, but the reason I really like that was from our water harvesting summit that we did this past summer. But the reason I love that is it showed a 5-year transformation of her backyard from dirt to what you're looking at behind her right now. Isn't that amazing? It's been what, maybe 6 years now, right, Janice?
Yeah, 6 years.
Ken wants to know, how do you water your yard?
I am experimenting with multiple different versions of watering. I have on the trees, I have drip tape. I have a section of my yard where I have the soft soaker hoses. I have in the past used the tire one,
Oh yeah, the one made out of recycled tires.
Right, the one made out of recycled
Seats.
tires. I didn't like that one. I have different types of spaghetti irrigation. I've got several different versions of end timers and stuff in my yard. And the other night I did the good old fashioned flood because my soaker hose split a leak and I wasn't there, and I just flooded my yard, which is not a problem because all the wood chips just kind of absorbed it. But I have a lot of different ways that I do it. My drip tape in the fruit tree is my favorite because the soil is so high clay, or was when I started, that it took a long time for the water to go down. It just kept spreading out, and I wanted it to go down into the trees. So by allowing it to go slowly, it took a while to get down, and it is the best, most effective there.
Cool.
There was a question about
Well, you find that Hill wants to know about dwarf mulberries and getting fruit with one of them. Yes, that's called self-fertile, Hill. And they are self-fertile. You plant one, you get fruit.
Yeah. There was a question about the ground, whether or not I needed to level out the ground a little bit, but not too much. The mulch will eventually take care of itself. It might puddle in some areas, but as long as the mulch is fairly even, you won't really notice an issue.
Yeah.
Somebody asked Greg what's the benefit of purchasing a bare root over a potted tree?
Bare root versus potted. So here's the thing. The trees that are sold bare root are sold as they're sold when they're dormant.
Our trees are dormant.
Our trees are dormant. They're asleep. The deciduous trees. Citrus trees all come potted. And basically what happens is in November and December, the company that grows them harvests them, digs them up out of the ground, makes them bare root, sends them to us. We prep them. And what happens is when you plant them that way, where they're going to spend the rest of their life, they're breaking dormancy where they're going to spend the rest of their life. If at the same time, nurseries are getting these potted trees in. So if you go into a nursery in February or March and buy a fruit tree that was potted in January, it hasn't grown out enough And often what'll happen is the soil falls away, you'll lose the root growth, and you have to start over again.
Because if you imagine the way roots are, they are like a spider web that's growing out.
Mhm.
And if you have a fresh plant in the ground, the little tiny roots that tend to hold the soil together, they haven't been established in those pots. That's what Greg's talking about. The little tiny roots that kind of create this network that holds the soil together. It's not there.
Yeah.
It's
So
not there.
for that reason, I think it's best. Plus, to be quite honest with you, there's an article on our website and in Root Camp on how much you should be paying for your trees. It's amazing to me how much the price gets marked up when you put them in a pot.
Yeah.
Janice and I, a couple of months ago, did a survey of local nurseries, and we were shocked at the price of the trees that everybody, yeah, it was jaw dropping.
I predicted prices and was completely blown away.
Yeah. And so we'll let you do your own research on that. We're not throwing anybody, calling out anybody, but we sell our trees bare root. Well, and our citrus, our citrus is really reasonably priced as well. So plant as bare root. I think your trees are going to do better.
Okay.
All right.
We're going we're going to have to speed up here a little bit. Do you want to jump to mulberries? Oh, we should do a couple of drawings. People are waiting for the drawings.
All right. 2 drawings.
2 drawings.
We're going to give away a fruit tree and a mulberry bush.
Sheila Nielsen gets a fruit tree.
Nice.
And oops, went on the wrong thing. I'm randomizing stuff here. Bobby Joe King gets a what?
Mulberry.
A mulberry.
Yeah,
all right.
Awesome.
What a great lead in. Shall we see what the mulberry is all about?
Yeah, exactly. These are our dwarf black mulberries. It's absolutely one of the most prolific berries that you can grow in the desert. So check it out. This is a 2-minute video, 1 minute and 30-second video from the Urban Farm. So these are dwarf black mulberries. Now they don't seem very dwarf. In fact, you're going to see the tree version here in a little while. I say the dwarf part is the berry. We get about a dime-sized berry on them, and they're amazingly sweet and so prolific. We literally get pounds and pounds of berries off of these. I like to use them as replacements for oleanders. People plant oleanders here a lot. This is a better thing. It gives us food that way. Come on in and check the harvest. We're getting toward the end of the harvest on this one, but this is what they look like right here. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Now let's go take a look at the tree version of the dwarf black mulberry. These I planted about 4 years ago. They were the size of a pencil when I planted them. Now they're about 5 inches in diameter and 15 feet tall. 4 weeks ago, there were 100 times that many berries up there. It was so packed with berries that it was mind-blowing. But that's a tree version. Gosh, I love those videos. They're great. So
you had fun making them.
I did. Dina has a question. My 8-year-old lemon tree only gives 2 or 3 lemons a year. Should I just get rid of it or try again and try again? What I want you to do, Dina, is send a photograph standing 8 feet back to fruittrees@urbanfarm.org. Plural, fruit trees, plural, @urbanfarm.org. Send me that picture along with your watering and fertilizing schedule, and I'll give you 2 cents worth. And I do this for everybody. This is what I do every day. People send me pictures. I get 3 to 5, right? It's me preaching again. I get 3 to 5 emails a week from people that says, what's wrong with my tree? That's what I'm here for. Let me help. All right, there we go. What do you got next?
You can shop at urbanfarm.org/orders trees now, or call my daughter-in-law, Hannah. Give her something to do today. Call her at 602-248-2448. 9256, extension 700. She's there to help you place your orders.
And
She's actually was a cashier on lot, so she understands the questions that you might be asking.
nice.
So.
And bring up the slide on the discounts, because here's why you want to order today. We have special bonuses for you if you're placing orders today. Disappearing ink?
No, well, they're going to go away. They're not there for the whole time.
Right. So if you spend $150 on fruit trees or plants, you get a single tree starter kit. If you spend $350, you get a 50-pound bag of bioflora fertilizer. That is a screaming deal. That is a $75 value for that. We just give it to you. And if you spend $1,000, you can get a consult with me to help plan your orchard. And you're going to see here in about 15 minutes, my orchard that I planted, 160 fruit trees over the past 3 months. That was a lot of work. It actually kicked my butt. So, oh my gosh, here's a picture of the catalogs.
One page of them.
One page of them, yeah. So you should really go check out the catalogs. They're to live for.
The general store has been updated this year. So if you had a general store catalog from the previous, it's brand new, got a lot more information. And there's new trees in the deciduous as well.
Perfect. Let's jump. Oh, fruit tree classes. All right, let's do this real quick. So we have a series of fruit tree classes, one a week for the next 5 or 6 weeks. And we will be taking questions and chatting with you in these. We did our what to know before you buy your fruit tree. That was last week's class. It's already in Root Camp, so you can watch it. What supplies, Janice? You want to talk about that real quick?
Well, we have two classes to help you choose trees and supplies to figure out what you need. So later this month, September 27th, we can do what supplies do I need for our trees. That'll help you for both citrus and deciduous. Kind of figure out what you need. There's a calculator that I created, a little complex. I haven't figured out how to make it into an app yet, but it's useful to help as well. Then we have...
Go ahead.
And I was going to say, and then we have 3 trees to help you plant and care for your 3 classes. Plant and care for your trees.
Yeah, and the first one is this Tuesday. 3 ways to kill your fruit trees. I get emails from people all the time of dying fruit trees, and I boiled it down to this. And then planting, watering, and fertilizing is how you go about planting and watering them. Really important. And then Janice, the next one is pretty much yours.
It's leveling up. You know, when you are starting to take care of your fruit trees, maybe you only have a certain amount of time, energy, and money to spend on it. Well, we're going to tell you what you need to do to get started. What's the bare minimum that you can do to have a successful trade? But if you're ready to put a little bit more energy or time or money into it, we can tell you what the next level is to help you go up and be able to give more energy or more time or maybe a little bit more money to increase your harvest to get that bigger, more beautiful tree. So this is leveling up, and it'll help you understand where to start.
Exactly. And one of the things I tell people is that you're going to to do this successfully, you're going to spend as much money on the fruit tree as you are on soils and supplements and that kind of stuff the first year. But take a deep breath. With that, our fruit trees are less expensive than most places. So what else can I say?
And Greg and I just spent several hours going through our class for next Tuesday on 3 ways not to kill your fruit trees. We've updated, we've kind of organized it in a way that might make a little bit more sense, and brought in some new pictures. So that is an updated class to make it fresh and make it, maybe hit you, if you've already taken it, hit you a little differently and make it sense for you.
And did we say all the classes are free?
What? Again.
Again, our education about fruit trees is free.
Although we do appreciate the love that some people have been sending in. We really do. That really helps.
Yeah. Any donations we graciously accept.
And we have 2 more ways to get some questions answered in October. our tree chat, our monthly tree chat, we're dedicating this one to not really having a lesson. We'll do a quick thing on the care for October, and then we're just going to be answering questions. The whole hour we're dedicating to whatever it is that is pressing in your needs, and whether that's about fertilizing, about ordering, about which trees, about watering, questions for the website, whatever it is, we're there to answer your tree questions. And then lastly,
our personal consults. I preached about them a little while ago. It's well worth your money. You will learn so much about your space. People rave after we're done. People rave to me about how much more they know now. So get a personal consult.
Yeah. And here's your two websites, urbanfarm.org/events, or for the consults, theurbanfarm.as.me.
Perfect.
All right.
Okay.
Now
we're running a little bit behind. We are going to talk. Go ahead, Janice.
No, now go ahead.
Now we're going to talk about introduction to fruit tree grafting. And if you're interested in what she's talking about, this is an intro from her. We have a link for you to actually sign up for her course.
Yeah. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Oops.
Thank you, Janice.
Thank you, Greg. I have so much fun doing this with you.
Right.
Oops, I got to choose the right one. I almost shared the wrong screen.
Susan Poisner is an urban orchardist in Toronto, Canada, and the author of Grow Fruit Trees Fast and Growing Urban Orchards. Susan trains new growers worldwide through her award-winning fruit tree care training program at orchardpeople.com. Susan is also the host of the Urban Forestry radio show and podcast and an ISA certified arborist. Today she's going to be sharing a bit about what it takes to graft your own fruit trees. Enjoy.
Hey everyone, it's Susan Poisner from orchardpeople.com, and my friend Greg Peterson asked me to talk to you guys a little bit about fruit tree grafting and its potential. And so that's what I'm going to do today. What you're going to see is a little excerpt from my course, and it's called Fruit Tree Grafting for Everyone. So I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you again after the video. Hi there, I'm Susan Poisner from orchardpeople.com, and I'm a fruit tree care educator. So over the years, I first learned how to prune fruit trees and how to care for them, how to fertilize them, and how to grow them successfully. But years ago, I wanted to learn how to graft fruit trees, and I found I was really frightened. I was really nervous that I wouldn't be able to figure it out. So over the years, I went to a series of workshops. And each time I was just nervous. I was afraid of picking up the knife because I felt somehow that grafting was only for experts. For me, what it took was meeting Steph Roth. So before we dig into the topic itself, I would like to introduce you to Steph and have Steph tell you her story. And here she is.
My name is Stephanie Roth, and I own Silver Creek Nursery. At Silver Creek Nursery, we graft around 20,000 fruit trees a year. I first started grafting by learning from my cousin Ken, and that would have been, I think, 2016, 2017, thereabouts. It was definitely intimidating starting out, especially with the whip and tongue, just because the cut is a bit more of an intense cut. Chip budding is a lot easier to catch on to, but it is more finicky just because you're dealing with such a tiny little piece of material. But yeah, it's a little bit intimidating to get onto until you get comfortable with the cuts, but it's 100% doable. For me to become more confident in grafting, it took it took a couple tries. So basically, I mean, the first cuts you do, the first 10 or so, or even more, 10, 20 cuts, are just getting a feel for the motion. My advice to people starting this course is don't worry about your first cuts and stuff like that. It really boils down to practice, and practice makes perfect, like anything else in life. And at the beginning, you will be bad, and that's just how it is. Everybody starts out like that. Just practice, and don't try and start grafting until you feel really comfortable with it.
So let's start with why. Why do we graft fruit trees? Well, we graft fruit trees because we want good tasting fruit, and fruit trees do not grow true to seed. So fruit trees grown from seed will have a unique DNA that is very different from each parent. So for example, let's say you have a gala apple and you take a seed from that apple and you plant it out. It will definitely grow into an apple tree without question, but the fruit will not look or taste like a gala apple. So let's say the dad apple tree was a Spartan apple tree. It's like a gala apple, and it won't look or taste like a Spartan apple. It will be its own thing. It'll have unique DNA. And guess what? There's no guarantee that the fruit will even taste very good because of genetic biodiversity. So grafting allows us to reproduce the exact type of fruit that we want to grow. But there's a bonus. When we graft, we can also add in desirable traits to our new tree. And the trait can be dwarfing tree size or disease resistance. So there are lots of benefits to grafting fruit trees. When we graft, you just need to know that we're actually fusing two trees into one. We start with the scion wood. That's also called the fruit wood, and that's a clipping from the tree that we want to propagate, that produces the type of fruit that we want to eat. That scion will eventually become the trunk and the branches of the new tree. The next piece is the rootstock, or the host plant. And that rootstock or host plant will provide the root system, the underground system of the tree. And its benefits can include maybe hardiness or disease resistance, or even dwarfing tree size. Finally, those two trees, they come together at the graft union. That's the place where they are fused together. And the graft union sometimes looks like a bit of a bulge or a bump in the young tree, and even when the tree grows older, you can often see where the graft union is. Now, what are our grafting goals? Well, one great goal can be to graft to repair a damaged tree. When you graft onto an established tree, it's called top working. Another option is, let's say you have a beautiful, healthy, older tree, you can graft new varieties onto that existing tree. You can also create 5-in-1 or fruit salad trees. You can graft peaches and plums and nectarines and apricots on a single tree because they're all in the same genus, which means that the plant tissue is more likely to be compatible. Apples from the genus Malus and pears from the genus Pyrus, they're not in the same genus. So it's not really easy to graft apples onto a pear tree or pears onto an apple tree. You kind of need to keep apples on your apple tree and pears on your pear tree. But with stone fruits, there's more flexibility. You can also graft brand new fruit trees just like the nurseries do. So bench grafting is the term for grafting indoors rather than in the field. And your goal when you're bench grafting is to create a new tree from scratch. Now, what grafting tools are you going to need for this course and for your grafting adventure? You'll need, for instance, a handsaw to remove larger limbs from trees. You'll need a bypass pruner, not an anvil pruner, which is for dead, bypass hand pruner to clip off younger branches. You will need a box cutter for some of the grafting cuts. At least I find the box cutter is helpful. You might need a screwdriver to pry bark away from the branch at certain times of year. And you'll need rubbing alcohol or isopropyl alcohol and a clean rag to sterilize your tools. And then there's the knife. That might be a little bit of an investment. So both budding knives, and you can see a budding knife at the top here, and grafting knives, like the one at the bottom, they both have single bevel blades. And both of them can be used either for grafting or for budding, but the budding knife, as you can see, has a little bump at the top for bark lifting. So lefties will need to purchase a left-handed knife. It's very important that you're using a knife that you're comfortable with. If you are left-handed, you need a left-handed knife. If you are going to buy a grafting knife, a good brand to consider is Victorinox. It's great for beginners. It's got stainless steel edges, and they cost maybe $30 or $40. Now, if you're somebody who's going to be grafting hundreds of trees a day, you are more professional and you might need a more professional knife with a harder steel blade, and that will stay sharper for longer. So Tim Enterprises knives, they can cost from $90 to $250. That's an option for you as well. Now, sealants. When it comes to buying grafting sealants, there are options that are much better than wax. Traditionally, grafters used elastic to secure the scion and the rootstock together, and then applied hot horticultural wax to seal it up. Now, an easier option is to use biodegradable grafting tape, which will stretch and it will both secure the wound and seal it. For summer budding, you can use grafting tape, or you can opt instead to use grafting rubbers and staples. They both secure and protect the bud. In certain cases, grafting sealant is handy to have, and the cheapest option would be just to make it yourself. Homemade grafting glue is just a mix of 50% latex paint, any old bit of paint that you have left over from your house, mixed together with 50% wood glue. And you can use any type of outdoor wood glue. Mix those together, and as you can see in this example, in this picture, doesn't matter what color the paint is, that can be fantastic grafting sealant. If you want to buy something, there are ready-made options. Doc Farwell's grafting seal is one of them, or Lac Balsam tree wound dressing is another option. So that's a little intro to fruit tree grafting. Anyone can do it, I promise you that. All you need to do is learn a little bit and get a little bit of practice. So Greg is going to share a link with you where you can learn lots more about grafting, but in the meantime, your event and have a great time, and I hope you guys learn a lot. Okay, take care and bye for now.
Isn't she great?
She's fun.
She's been on our podcast a couple of times, and I've been on her podcast a couple of times. It's yeah. So we have a link if you're interested. She has an extended master class on fruit tree grafting, and Janice, we have a link for that. Oh, look at that, urbanfarm.org/grafting class. So if you want to jump in and learn fruit tree grafting, I actually may take that class myself.
Yeah, especially with
Yeah.
everything you're going, that makes a lot of sense.
Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, everybody.
urbanfarm.org/grafting class. Excellent.
So do I tell you what I did?
Uh-oh, what did you did?
I just added a section to root camp.
Uh-oh. Of course you did.
I
Log in.
added,
Go ahead.
yeah, I added a new section. I'm putting all the fruit specific tree chats into a new section. So let's talk
very
pomegranates,
good.
let's talk apples, let's talk figs. I'm gonna start
Nice.
throwing those in. You know me.
Yeah. Awesome. Janice. Doc Farmer wants to know, do we have Pakistani mulberries? We do have Pakistani mulberries. We have bare root, and we have a locally grown potted one. They're on our store.urbanfarm.org website, so you can get them there. Jean says, I have no idea what trees will work on my 2.5 acre property in Cave Creek. I'd like to plan my orchard thoughtfully and want to chat with someone before I purchase. I am willing to invest today to get a good idea. I just have no idea what yet. Thoughts? She also said, you guys are amazing. Really enjoy it. Thank you for the desert growing information. So you can buy a gift certificate, right? She could buy a gift certificate.
Now, if you get the gift certificate, The gift certificate won't get you the free item,
but we'll include it.
Well, what happens if you get the gift certificate? Just work with me. Just
We'll figure it out.
say, hey, I participated during this time frame. I'll do the research. I'll double check it, and I'll give you the thing. So
if you wanted to go for $350, you buy a $350 gift certificate and the garden consult.
The garden consult is not sold on the store. The garden consult you pay for it when you reserve your appointment. Yeah. We used to sell it on the store, but then you had to go someplace else to reserve it. And it was just like, no, let's just put it all in one place. You pick your date that works for you and you pay for it at the same time. All right.
Vicki Anders says, I want to take advantage of the sale. What products do I need for my raised bed garden? She just moved from Connecticut, so the climate is soil is different. I just moved from Phoenix to Asheville, so I understand that.
All right. So if you're buying supplies, the prices right now are really great. The soil and stuff, we can work with you to figure out what you need for your garden. A consult with Raymond is excellent, especially local, because he can talk through what you need for your supplies. He's our gardening guru. He's my gardening guy. And then he can help you figure stuff out for that. But the free items today, the bonus items today, those don't count for supplies. Those are only counted for purchases of fruit trees and plants. And the phone number for calling in and getting some help today is 602-248-9256, extension 700. Kind of sitting back, kicking back, playing with the cat, waiting for somebody to call her so she can do something.
Yeah, call her. Say hi.
Yeah, we got to pay her. Make her do some work today.
Yeah, we've got some other questions. We'll answer them. We'll stick around for a little while after we're done.
Do some couple drawings.
And do a couple drawings next. Yep.
All right.
So we're going to give away, how many garden consults have we given away?
2.
2. Why don't we give a consult away with you and Ray?
Okay. We've given away consults for you. We haven't given away consults for me yet. Do we make one
let's do that. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So you can choose for this one. You get to choose between myself or Ray for your consult, and randomize. That's funny. Stephen Bicknace.
All right, and then a mulberry bush.
Write that there, Stephen Bicknace. Randomize. Mulberry bush, Laura Mitchell.
Laura Mitchell, yay, Laura Mitchell. And another dwarf black mulberry.
Another dwarf black mulberry. Karen Fromkiss. I hope I said that right.
All right.
How about some planting starter kits?
Sure, 2 planting starter kits. Absolutely.
All right.
Marsha. Go ahead, Marsha.
Marsha Blake.
Marsha Blake, give away another one. Our planting starter kit includes worm castings, azomite, and mycorrhiza, which are the supplements that go into the hole and get mixed up with the soil when you plant your tree.
Mabel Robles Storino.
Woo!
One more Poisoner book. One more her book.
Sure.
Donald Staruski.
Nice. Now all this stuff needs to be picked up at our tree lot. We don't
go there. Yeah,
we don't ship any of it. So
all right. So are you a prize winner? There is a couple of ways that this works. I'm going to show a screen right now. If you won something from us, if you have an item that you got, your name got picked, basically put a note on your next order what you think you won, and I'll go ahead and add it during the review process. I do have your email, so I can double check that. If you have a consult, we'll send you an email on how to do the consult. And if you are a new customer, this is the important thing. If you're a current customer, if I double check your email and you're a current customer, I'll just go ahead and create an order for you and put you that free item. But if you are a new customer, I just have your name and your email. I can't put you in the system for getting the prize with that information. I need you to be logged into our the store. So I'll need to have your first name, last name, full address, and phone number that is required to go into our store for the order purchasing. So that's how it works. Did that make sense?
It did.
I hope it made sense.
All
If that didn't
right.
make sense, you guys, let me know.
The White family says, Greg, are we going to see your farm in North Carolina? That's our next video and our final video. And then we'll stick around and answer questions. But I think Janice is saying, what else? What else is there, Janice? Oh my gosh. If you haven't been to the Great American Seed Up, or even if you have been to the Great American Seed Up, this is our 9th year doing it. We rent a 10,000 square foot room at North Phoenix Baptist Church, and you can come and scoop open pollinated seeds to your heart's content. It is an amazing event. This picture in the background is one of the pictures from the day. It is that wild. So check it out, greatamericanseedup.org/Phoenix Seed Up.
Another one of my love projects. Love setting that up.
Yes, yes.
And we have opened up our permaculture design course. So if you really want to get ready to put the extra effort into creating the permaculture concepts and design for your space, come on down, talk to us at the lot. We'll explain it to you. Ray is there. Jordan is there. Tammy is there. They've all done it. I do it. I'm one of the run the program. Or you can go to urbanfarm.org/PDC. We do have limited spots available for the spring 2024 course.
And it's starting to fill up.
It's starting to fill out. It includes a manual and a textbook, and it's great.
It's a 72-hour introduction to permaculture. It changed my life forever in 1991. I highly recommend it. It will change your life forever. I promise.
It's fun. It's fun.
All right. You want to see my yard, Janice?
Yeah. Are we going to show it on my screen or yours?
Go ahead. You can run it.
All right.
So I moved to Asheville, North Carolina after about 15 years worth of planning. When I met Heidi in 2013, I said to her, Heidi, I want to move someplace quiet. I lived 54 years right in the middle of Phoenix of 4.7 million people. And I was looking for someplace quiet to go as I aged. I'm 62 years old now, and I wanted a place where I could grow a lot of my own food and someplace that was, well, quiet. So we found 4 acres. The picture you're seeing in my background is a real picture. Those are real gladiolas that I was growing. That's from about 8 weeks ago. And that's my front yard. So enjoy, and I'll be more than happy to stick around for answers to your questions when we're done with this. So let's do it, Miss Janice. Welcome to Greg and Heidi's farm in North Carolina. A year and a half ago, we decided to leave Phoenix after living there basically all of our lives and move to someplace quieter and a place where we could grow a lot of our own food. This is our first garden attempt. This close garden bed here we put in last weekend, and the other raised bed garden has been in for about 6, maybe 8 months. We've had some really good luck with tomatoes growing wild in our yard. I'll show you that in a little while. And you can see the butterfly right there laying eggs, and the caterpillars are loving our brassicas. We gardened our first year here, and I give our first garden a 1 on a scale of 1 to 10. And this garden this season, I'm going to give it a 4. One of the things that we did is we live on a slope, and they wanted something like $6,000 for a retaining wall along here. And Heidi said to me one day, Greg, why don't we use stock tanks? So we bought ourselves a couple of stock tanks, drilled holes in the bottom of them. They're holding up the area where our gardens are. And basically what we did is we just backfilled them with woody mulch. You're going to see a lot more of the woody mulch here in a little while. So One of the things that I did last December is I had a conversation with a local person who has an elderberry business that she makes elderberry syrups and drinks and that kind of stuff. And I asked her where she was getting her elderberries from. And she said, oh, some of them she ships out of Europe. And it was like, what? I said, I can grow elderberries. Didn't have a clue how to grow elderberries at the time, but these are elderberries on the left. This is my row of elderberries. We have over 100 elderberries that we've put in so far. And they started out in January as sticks, literally a 6-inch long stick with 4 nodes. And they've turned into, in some cases, 3 feet high elderberry bushes. And I am told they're going to be a lot bigger next year. We have 3 different varieties of elderberries that grow in the area. We have a wildwood elderberry, we have a Bob Gordon elderberry, and we have an Adams elderberry. And we put in, when we were planting them, we put in worm composting that we made out of our worm composter, and we ended up with so many tomatoes. Tomatoes just started growing wild in the basins. You can see some of them right in there. These are mulberries and service berries. One of the things that happened all of a sudden is the deer showed up. Hello, Phoenix. No deer, but we have deer here. And you can see how they've eaten most of the leaves off of here and off of this service berry right here. I have a solution. Thank you, Scott Murray. Here's one of our tomatoes, the wild tomatoes. The wild tomatoes seem to be doing a lot better than the ones that we potted and put close to the house. This is looking back at the house where I just walked from. One of the cool things about the house, you can see on the roof, there was 10 kilowatts of solar panels on the roof when we arrived. It was like, wow, how cool is that? Already done for me. Oh, plus a metal roof. All right, what we're looking at now is a area that's about 60 feet long and maybe 30 feet wide, covered with black tarp. I'm solarizing it, and it's my intent to grow some winter wheat in there this season. So we'll see how that goes. I also have a Grex, that's a Grex, of rice seeds. Basically what that means is they've taken, I think in this Grex, 80 different varieties of uplands rice, so they don't require a rice paddy. And I'll be planting out that rice in this area as well to see how it does and which varieties are going to do best. And then we save seeds from the varieties that do the best, and we're good to go there. All right. Now, what we're looking at. We used a sod cutter to sod cut out the grass that was here, and then dug our tree holes, and we have 18 tree holes left to plant trees in. That means I have another 18 trees to find. And what we have here out in front of us are some more mulberries. The first 2 on each row here on my left are mulberries, and you can see how the deer came in and started munching on them. Oh, I have to tell you the solution. And literally it's a solution. And up on the right there, that's 4 apple trees and a peach and a plum that got annihilated by the deer. But after we did that, we planted these stone fruit. So these are Dave Wilson stone fruit. They're pluaries and pluots, apriums, I think. We've got some hybrids that we're trying out here. And you'll notice that they have all their leaves on them. So I got on the phone with Scott Murray one day and I said, what do I do about this? He said, Greg, go out and get some cayenne pepper and garlic and mix it into water and spray it on them. So that's what I did. And the deer haven't messed with them at all. It's pretty cool, actually. So every time it rains, it rained last night, so I have to make up a new solution and reapply it today. I'm going to try that along with some foliar feed, some High Creations foliar feed, and on them just to fertilize them, see how that works. And then going down the hill, you can see 3 more rows. The bottom row we planted, it's kind of hard to see them that they're there, some smaller elderberries. These were planted 2 weekends ago. The first elderberries you saw were planted 2 months ago. And the middle row has 2 pawpaws and 3 figs in it. And this top row, we're just prepping it for next season. We're going to plant tomatoes in it, given that they seem to do better out here than in pots near the house. And one of the things that I've been harvesting since we arrived here, and I've probably gotten 10 to 15 loads of woody mulch. So you can see the piles of woody mulch, and we used it to backfill the garden area. We used it to fill the sod cut areas with woody mulch so it breaks down and makes healthy soil. So there you have it. I don't tell Heidi, but I envision this space right out in front of me as a place where I'm going to plant more elderberries maybe. I don't know, we'll see. That's our house. It's a single level red brick. Interesting story. I've been wanting a red brick house for decades, and it just happens to be the one that we got. So there's my orchard. That's what I've been up to. I'll tell you what, planting, let's see here, 105 and 55, so 160 fruit trees and bushes. That's a much bigger project than planting 1 or 2 or 3. It needs a lot more planning. So I planned away, and there we have it. Thanks for listening. Well, there you go. That's the first time you've seen that, isn't it, Janice?
Yeah, I'm going to
Wow.
see it again and again, I think. I'm going to go back and look at it. I really was excited to see, because I've been hearing you talk about what you're doing and you've been so
Yeah.
passionate about it.
Mhm.
There's been times where we've been in a meeting. He's like, I got to go do something. I'm like, okay, I understand.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's fun to see that come to fruition. And I'm going to get a plane ticket and come out and see you soon.
All right. We got miles for that. One of the
Yeah.
things, thanks, SJ, said truly amazing. One of the interesting things I ran into was for my elderberry orchard, the first one we walked through, I
Yeah.
put drip irrigation on all of it so that, if it needs water, we can drip irrigate it. And interestingly enough, none of the big box stores, none of the nurseries, none of the Ace Hardwares sell drip irrigation parts. I had to have them shipped in because they don't
Really?
they don't irrigate things here because we get 50 inches of rain a year. So that was interesting. You guys got any questions for me? Let's jump over into the Q&A. The White family says, great work. Well, thank you very much. We're having fun with it. Truly amazing, says SJ. SJ says, I have a very small yard. How much space do I need to leave between dwarf mulberry tree and other trees? If you are, and we cover this in our what you need to know before you plant your fruit trees, but if you're planting in a hedgerow where the trees grow together 5 feet apart. If you want to walk between the trees, you need to go about 10 feet apart. What other questions do you have for us? Lori and Allen says, this is our Lori that works at the tree lot. If you come and see us at our tree lot, she's one of our rock star lot leads. She says, your new yard looks awesome. Thank you very much.
Nice.
Yeah.
Jen asks about whether or not we'll have worms at the pop-up. No, we will not carry worms, but we will have worm castings, fresh
Yep.
castings. We get them that week. If you want worms themselves, then you can go down to the Arizona Worm Farm.
Dina wants to know how many acres. We have 4.2 acres, mostly rolling hills, but we have about 1.5 acres of dense forest that you can't even walk through.
And we now have section 6, which has let's talk apples, let's talk figs, let's talk olives, let's talk peaches, let's talk pomegranates. It's in there now. So
while we're working today, this is what Janice does. Amazing. Amazing. Jean wants to know, can I call and get info on how to purchase her gift certificate? Absolutely. You can do that. That's 602-248-9256, extension 700. The White family wants to know, do elderberries grow here in Arizona? Yes, but a particular kind. And yes, we will have them at our pop-up store nursery in January. They're called Mexican elderberries. Apparently they kick butt.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so excited about our classes that are coming up. And I love putting what we've created into Root Camp. It's been fun.
Anonymous wants to know, can we talk more about Root Camp and how to access it? So will you pull up the signups page? So what happens, Anonymous, is you go to the sign up page and sign up, and you will get an email that basically gives you access.
If you go to fruittrees.org to take a class page, click here to enlist in the Fruit Tree Root Camp. Yep. When you click on this, you're going to go ahead and enlist right there. And there's more information down here, but just click on the enlist button. And then once you enlist, it'll tell you that you're listed. Go to your email, and your email will give you the link.
Yeah. Hold on a sec. I think I can pull up the
page, what it looks like.
What it looks like. Log in. Ah, look at that. Come back. All right. I'm sharing my screen now. This is what it looks like. There it is right there. So this is once I've logged in. You just log in and you'll get.
Can I say something there before you click on it?
Please.
If you get this page and it says not available, if it says not available, then you need to go up to the top right corner and log in. Because it's not logged in or logged in, this page can look the same.
Perfect. So then you just click on it and you get all the information about it. Let's see here. So this is our hello, welcome to it.
Our homepage.
And then down the right is digging into Root Camp, how our program works, before you buy your fruit trees, bringing home your new trees, fruit tree care. These are the different sections. So each of these sections, let's just click into fruit tree care. This gives us the different lessons that are in there. So some of them have videos, some of them have podcasts, some of them have PDFs, some of them have articles to read. With the exception of our classes, let's see here. We have, where is our, before you buy your fruit trees, here it is right here. What you need to know, this one here is an 1.5-hour long class. Most of the rest of them are, if they're a video, they're a 3 to 10 minute video. So they're quickies. It's just that we're recording our classes and sticking the whole thing in here. So.
And if you go down to the very bottom, brand new section is fruit specific tree chats.
Nice.
And those are about 50 minutes or so.
Nice. It looks like this. There you go. Let's talk apples. All right. There you go, Anonymous.
All right.
All right. What other questions do we have? Let's see here. I'm good for answering questions for a little while.
I ordered a couple of trees this morning for scheduled pickup. Will we cover how the pickup works?
Oh, yes, please.
First time buyer. Okay. So basically what happens is on my end, I am sorting all the orders into whether or not they're September pickups or January. And then when you pick your time, which you go to on the email that you will get, you'll get one email that says your order is being reviewed. Then I need to look at the order and I will sort it into which category it goes, and you'll get another email based on which category you're in. If you're here for the September pickup, then it'll tell you the information where to go to register your appointment. If you're here for January pickup, same thing. If you're ordering something for shipping, I'll take care of it that way. When you go to pick up your trees, we will have, Tammy is my gate person for this. She has a box there with all the orders that I printed out based on your appointment time, and she'll pull out all the orders that you've ordered. So if you ordered one tree and then you decided to order some supplies and then you said, oh, I want another tree, all of those orders get collected together and put under your appointment time. And then when you show up at the lot, one of our tree crew will call out your name, introduce themselves, and say, hi, I'm Chris. I'm here to get your trees for you. And we'll take it from there. And we'll go get your trees or let you select your trees depending on what you want. If you need some more supplies, you can go to the general store. Raymond will be manning the general store, and he's there to answer questions. I'll be working away on the computer trying to keep things going and answering questions. We've got a cashier there. She's really good answering questions. Jordan's there answering questions. And we just got a lot of people there that can answer questions. You need to know if they have a name tag, then they are a tree crew person that has been trained. If they don't have a name tag, they are somebody who's showing up and helping. So if you have a question to learn, to know about something, go for somebody with a name tag. They're the ones that have the answers. I hope that gave you information. If you need
Perfect.
more, throw it a question.
Kathleen says, at the pop-up, will there be avocado trees? So here's the thing with avocados. We don't sell them. As far as I know, and I have been asking for over a decade for people to invite me out and show me an avocado tree that is actually producing avocados in the desert. Now, there's one guy online that is emphatic that avocados grow and they do really well in the low desert. But every time I ask him, he says, yes, they do. But he has never asked me out to show. I want to actually see one in person. Here's what I know. With the exception of 2 avocado trees, one that's very old and one that's very new, every single one of them that I've ever seen has died. The heat gets them. The one that is fairly new has been in the ground. 5 years ago, we got some avocados. Yeah, 5 years ago, I planted one in a densely shaded area in the backyard at the urban farm. That tree is still alive. It's grown all of about a foot in 5 years. So we'll see. It's still alive. But in fact, I pinged somebody from 5 years ago and I said, how is your avocado doing? And they said, well, it died pretty quickly. So
yeah, my husband likes to call them the diva of fruit trees.
Yeah. So
they're very sensitive.
Here's the thing. You can get some in town and you can experiment with them. I talk about that and what you need to know before your fruit trees. It's okay to experiment. Absolutely. We don't do that with our customers. We experiment ourselves, or we bring in trees that we're pretty sure are going to do okay, and we call them experiments. But the trees that we sell, sorry, that was a throat lozenge getting in my way. The trees that we sell are proven to work here. If you plant them, do what we tell you to do, you're going to get fruit in 3 years in the low desert. Just saying.
Unless they say E on them, the rest of them they have our guarantee. And our special is going to continue through the weekend. You can go ahead and take advantage of that throughout this weekend. Tell your friends, share with your neighbors, invite them to learn with us, and the special's still there. Yeah.
Doc Farmer says, can we order after show while we're still watching? Sure, you can order. Our shopping cart is open. The specials with the bonuses are good through the end of the day tomorrow, I think, Janice?
Yeah, through the weekend.
Perfect.
Actually, I take my weekend my days off are Sunday, Monday. So I don't like to close anything on Sunday. I like to close it on Monday so that I can go in on Tuesday.
Hill wants to know if we buy 15-gallon versus a 5-gallon, or number 15 tree versus a number 5 tree, will you get fruit sooner? Not really. What's going to get you fruit sooner is following our directions explicitly, foliar fertilizing, drench feeding your trees. Absolutely. That will get you fruit trees sooner.
And if you do get a 15-gallon, you're just going to be, when it's not going to be sooner in time, it'll just be, you'll have a bigger tree, you'll have more fruit.
SJ, do you live in Phoenix? So I haven't said this publicly yet. SJ wants to know if we do urban farm tours and hand-on workshops. With COVID, we transitioned everything to online, except our urban farm tours. And we did that. What we found is that I used to give live classes in Phoenix, like at the Duck and Decanter and around about, and I'd get 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 people show up. When we give our classes, we get upwards of 100 to 150 people show up in the classes. So it's just more effective to do it that way. But I haven't said this publicly yet. We have made an agreement with the people that purchased the urban farm from me a year and a half ago, and we will be doing tours of the urban farm this November. I will be coming into town.
The farm that used to be the urban farm.
Thank you. The farm, the place where I lived for 32 years and grew fruit trees, and the people that purchased it from me are amazing rock stars. They are loving the space. So yeah, we'll be able to do that.
Awesome. It'll be fun to see everybody there too. That'll be November, early November that we'll be doing that.
First Friday of November and the first Saturday of November.
Greg will be here for the seed up, and he will be here for part of the time in January. I just committed you.
Oh yeah, I'll be there in January for sure.
In January. October comes and goes too fast for him to come out.
Oh, hello, Diane. Diane says, not sure why she's coming in as anonymous. We know Diane, of course.
Yeah.
Welcome. Thanks for being here.
Maureen, how do you shield walls from the sun? There are so many ways to shield the walls from the sun. It could be plant life. It could be terracing, wood. It could be crisscross wood. What is that stuff called?
Lattice work.
Lattice. Thank you. You can put up some lattice work. You can put up some shade cloth. You could be lots of creative. We cover some of that in our classes.
Yep. 3 ways to kill your fruit trees. Come to that on.
Gotta sign up for the trees. Go to urbanfarm.org/events and you'll see our calendar, and you can sign up for our classes. And if you sign up for Tree Chat, you only need to sign up once. We'll keep giving you reminders. You get the same class link for each time. You know what? This is exciting. I'm actually giving my first live class here at a nursery 2 weeks from today. We should put it on our calendar. Well, I'm doing a how to plant a fruit tree class at a local nursery here. Send me the details. I'll put it in there. All right. And I love this. Go ahead. We are going to take today's presentations and put them into the root camp. I just got to download them. MD wants to know, will the customer service be taking calls also tomorrow or Monday? So here's the deal. Probably not live tomorrow. Maybe Monday. You can call that same number. We can call that same number and put an extension 1 or 2. If you have tree orders, you can call that number, and extension 1, you'll get me, and extension 2, you'll get Janet. No? Yes, 1, you'll get Greg. Don't call Greg for tree orders. Right. Don't call. Right. If you have tree information you want to talk about, call me. If you want to place an order, call Janice. She's at extension 2. So that's our standard number to get a hold of us. By the way, just open it up. Hannah has been sweet answering phone calls. Big time. I love this. Jean says, I got a food freeze dryer. I am envious, Jean.
last year to help with our lemon harvest here, but we juiced and used all of them before we got to freeze dry them. I need more trees. Ha ha ha. Yes, love that.
Thank you, Tammy. I love you too. Tammy's in the audience here.
Yeah, thanks, Tammy. Tammy is a longtime friend of the Urban Farm and ours, and she actually came out and pet sat for us in May when we went away for a week. So
anybody who comes to the lot is okay. 99.9% of the people that come to the lot at pick up their fruit trees is going to meet Tammy because she's the very first person that you meet. She is the absolute phenomenal dispenser of information who will make sure that your order gets put together correctly and gets it ready for you to go onto the lot. So, and helps you with questions to get started. Love her.
Right. Amen to that. MD wants to know dates and times for pickup. Needs to plan ahead. We have once you place your order, you'll get an email about that. But what's the we have a place to schedule your appointment for pickup?
Yes, it is. I'm looking it up right now to make sure I got the right link. But let me go there. Urban Farm.
So Donald says, what about covering citrus trees? Well, covering all your trees. So in our class, 3 ways to kill your fruit trees, we have a whole section on shading your trees. And it starts like this. Here it is in a nutshell. Woody mulch around the base. Wrap the trunk of the tree. Plant a ground cover around the base of the tree, which we give you. We give seeds for the cowpeas. So those are the first 3 things to do, and that's going to cover about 90% of your shade needs. So we cover that more in depth in our class on Tuesday night called 3 Ways to Kill Your Fruit Trees.
Okay, to schedule citrus, you're going to go to theurbanfarm.asme/pickupcitrus. And I'm putting that in the chat room. That will give you the opportunities. It's basically Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the last 2 weeks of September. Oh, I sent it to just Greg. Let me send it to everybody.
Yeah. Anne wants to know desert wash and lots of wildlife. The wildlife that might be attracted to your trees are deer and javelina. They could eat the trunks of your trees, so you might have to protect them from that. I'd ask around in your neighborhood, Anne, to see what people are, experiencing. And we have one more question. I have a chidalpa and bubble desert willow that are about 2 to 3 years old. I have a pomegranate and a vitex. Any issues? I wouldn't see any issues about adding a mulberry, not at all. Grow away. Not go away, grow away.
Go away. All right, Greg, don't go away. When we're done here, you and I need to talk. But folks,
hey, wow.
We're so glad to have you here.
I just want to say, Janice, we were supposed to end at 3 o'clock, my time, noon, your time. We are 47 minutes late, but there was so much great information. Thank you for sticking around.
Yeah, people still had questions, so it was fun to keep doing this.
All right. Well, we can't stick on because other people will stick on. So
I know we got to call it. Wait, we got more questions. One doesn't produce sooner than another. It is just smaller. Yes, MD. Citrus trees between the 5 and the 15, basically what you're looking at is a different diameter of the tree trunk, about another 8 year or so larger. And what happens is that you have more branches, and so you'll have more opportunities for flowers. It's not sooner because you still need the first year for the roots, the second year for the trunk and the branches, and the third year you're going to allow it to fruit.
Yep, exactly. Alan, Lori says, Alan says garlic and cayenne mix would work for javelina too. That would probably be the case.
Yes, I just told somebody else about that for elk up north. Lori is our gatekeeper. She's the lady that makes sure that our trees get out, the right trees. So thank you, Lori. You are so appreciated too.
Yes, big time. And they just finished the permaculture design course as well.
I know. You got permaculture questions. Just kind of go out there to get to the gate and go, hey, who took the PDC?
Right.
Somebody will help you. Lynn,
Lynn
thank
says,
you.
yeah, Lynn says, what a great way to spend a Saturday morning. Woohoo! Thank you.
All right.
All right, kids. Thanks. Appreciate it. We'll have the recording of this up and out, and have fun and get your orders placed. Jean wants to know where to sign up for the permaculture design course. Go to urbanfarm.org/PDC. Permaculture design course. So the initials PDC.
PDC, right? You're right. Sorry. My
Permaculture
brain said
design
Q.
course.
All right.
And yeah, we've already got people signing up. It starts in late February.
Yeah. The dates are on that page.
All right, cool. All right, guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
Talk to you later, Janice. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate all you being here.
All right. Bye-bye.